actress, author, motivator, influencer, talk show host, Renaissance woman, Forbes Riley. How are you today?
Gosh, that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
My honor and pleasure. I have chills right now that you're with me. I mean, I look up to you.
Oh, thank you.
You changed my life, which we'll get into during the interview. You literally transformed me through many of your gifts. And one of the words that goes along for me as Renaissance woman is resilience.
Oh, with a big capital R.
How do you define that?
Well, you know, I think that you are defined by not what happens to you, but your reaction to it. I've had massive tragedy. I raised a little boy for 12 years of my life who was murdered. I have been the eyewitness to the Las Vegas shooting from the balcony. All the images that you see that were overhead were from my iPhone. I dealt with the fact that my dad, when I was in high school, slipped. He was a printer, an inventor, and a magician. He built printing presses. And one day when I was in high school, he slipped. And he caught his hand, and they ripped off the entire front of his hand. And I remember that. It was June, and we got a horrible phone call. I was sitting in the kitchen with my mom, and my life would never be the same. He had 15 operations, 3 years in the hospital, in and out of the hospital. But the crazy thing about that particular time was that I believe that life happens for you, not to you. And so, and if I take you back, and I'd love to share some photos with everybody, because one of the things that I talk about is being a really ugly little girl. And people look at me now and go, oh, and I'm like, oh, no, you don't know what ugly is until you look at my face. And what I mean by that is when I was a little girl, I had buck teeth that went in all different directions. And I went to kindergarten and they looked at me and they sent me home and saying, your daughter needs to fix this, or, you know, you need to fix this. So they put me in braces. Now do you have braces?
Absolutely.
How long?
A good 4 years. It was a while.
So 4 years is extreme.
Yes.
8 years. 8 years is freaking torture. 8 years of full braces, rubber bands, headgear, but no, it gets better. They screwed a thing into the roof of my mouth. They cut me from time, I could talk like this. For 2 years of my life, no one could understand a single word I said. Yeah. And what's crazy about that is that because I couldn't communicate for 2 years of my life, I watched everyone else talk. I watched them waste words. And I don't think I consciously put this together until recently. I spend a lot of time now standing on very large stages of 10,000 people, sometimes, 1,000 people, but speaking motivationally. And it's allowed me to understand and unpack my life. And I remember thinking, though, that when I get to talk again, I'm not going to stop. And throughout my career, I've been an actress and a TV host and a motivational speaker and an improv artist. And people are like, well, what are you? And I'm like, I used to say, I'm a communicator. And now I remember and understand why that was so vitally important. And to me, it doesn't matter. I mean, I even hosted the Laugh Factory for 3 years in Los Angeles. The comedy club, working with Jerry Seinfeld and Robin Williams and Ellen DeGeneres. I was the host of that. And I'm not a comedian. In fact, I was not very funny, which, right. But
I have more questions on that point, but go on.
So let's go back. So starting out life with all of this in my mouth. And then, and I think when you see the picture, you'll go, really? I ran into a baseball bat and I broke my nose. And my parents didn't fix my nose. And so I had this really odd nose, full silver. I have big, fat, frizzy, dark hair. And my mother, who loved me so much with food, fed me, so I'm overweight. And I was one of the loneliest, awkward little girls you've ever seen. Now here, and you'll appreciate this, I was really wickedly smart. And because I was so smart, I didn't mind, I was studying all the time, or I was watching television, and I was dreaming of being anybody other than me. I skipped year high school, I did college. In 3 years, got 2 degrees. You don't hear that very often. And the reason I did that, I concluded, is because I had no social life. If you don't have a social life and you don't have sex in college, man, you can study a lot. True. Boring as all get up.
Facts. It's so hard for me to visualize you as the young lady that you described, but I guess.
I'm going to edit in a photo.
I gotta see a picture of that.
Yeah.
Because obviously the modern day edition that sits before us today.
Well, I'll tell you what, I built this chick. And then I rebuilt her recently, and I'll go into more depth about it, but I was recently in a really bad car accident. And I entered a bodybuilding competition out of the accident. and got a medal. So what's an interesting thing is you talk about resilience. Guys, things will happen to you in life. Enjoy them. I often say that you're the sum of the obstacles you overcome. If you had a perfectly normal life, you are boring.
As I've grown older,
Yeah.
I've learned to see that imperfections are actually beautiful. And if you appreciate them, but do you still feel like that ugly little girl sometimes?
Do I look like an ugly little girl to you?
Feel like?
No.
You definitely
not at
are.
all.
In
No.
today's age, you're gorgeous.
No,
but
I'm-
does that little girl that you said, your
right,
words,
so let me
was
unpack
ugly,
this. Oh, no, no.
does she still influence the
Not at
inside
all.
of you?
No, in fact, she stopped. And this is one of the first turning points of my story. And we often call it Forbesing it. What have you Forbes lately? And to Forbes something means to manifest something, especially when you don't believe it, especially when no one else believes it. Okay? So there I am, 15 and a half. My dad's in the hospital. My mom is in the hospital with me at one afternoon, and she says, "Kiddo, I've got some really bad news for you." I said, "What is it?" She said, "We have no money, and no money for college." Now, as a smart kid, that's all that I wanted to do. I was going to be a lawyer. That's why you and I get along. Oh, yeah. That's what smart people do. You're either a doctor or a lawyer. If you hate blood, you have no choice. You're a lawyer. In fact, unfortunately, my guidance counselors never explained to us that you could have been in advertising or marketing. It was doctor, lawyer. And so the crazy thing, again, I have a lot of isms that I live by. I think I'm going to have magnets for all of these on my refrigerator. And one of them is dream it, believe it, and achieve it. So I had this dream when I was young. I would watch movies and television, and I wanted to go to the Academy Awards, which is kind of ironic because I ended up going as a guest when I was 16. That's a great story too. But I wanted to be on Broadway. I wanted to wear glamorous clothes. I wanted to be James Bond. That's what I wanted. And I used to sit in the dark and just watch it and imagine fancy cars and skiing and under the water with the little, things and being a spy, and all of that just seemed like such a great life. And so all that was in my head. That's a dream. The believe it part is talking about it, saying it out loud. What is it that you want? So my mom turns to me and says, "We have no money for college." And my dad's doctor overheard this conversation. And he turned to my mom and said, "I'm going to fix your daughter's nose for free." Now, I was like, "Oh, please, please." I would go to bed every night, kind of push this thing in because it looked so bad.
Wow.
And I woke up a couple of days later, and this is the picture that you guys are all going to get to see of a very awkward, ugly little girl. And a couple of days later, she was really cute. I don't know why a nose made such a difference for me, but you'll notice that my eyes got bigger. I cut my hair. Everything my face looked completely different. I looked in the mirror and I looked at that little girl and I said, "You and I are going to do this." I don't know where this came from. I just know what happened. I'm sorry. I left out a piece of this. My mom also said there's a beauty pageant called the Miss Teenage America pageant happening in our town, and the winner gets to be on TV with Bob Hope and win a scholarship to college. She looks at my face and says, "That's not going to work for us." That's when my doctor said he fixed my nose. So I'm looking at this little girl in the mirror a couple of days later, and I said, "You know what? I hate beauty pageants. We're going to enter this one. We're going to win this."
How old were you?
I was 15 and a half.
Okay.
I have no idea. I hated pageants. I thought they were silly. But there was a future at stake here. And I very clearly remember walking into the very first meeting. There were 500 girls in this gymnasium. I'm holding my dad's good hand. And I looked at all these kids and I said, one of these girls is going to be on TV with Bob Hope. And it's going to be me. Now, that's a ridiculous thing to say. That's like saying when you're a kid, "I'm going to be a star quarterback and win the Super Bowl." But Tom Brady, the 199th pick in the draft, got his dream, right?
He did.
So if you dream it and believe it. And so I walked in. There was a written test, the first thing. It was a strange thing for a beauty pageant, but it was a very odd pageant. I scored really well. I had a tap dancing as my talent, even with my big chunky thighs. And the finals, I had to go find a hand-me-down bridesmaid's dress. It's a powder blue dress with a big fake diamond buckle. But when I stood on that stage in Blanca, you saw that picture, it's in my studio. I look at her face, that little girl there, and she just pretty much told the judges that she needed to win this for her dad right there. It was not about me. And when they called my name, I mean, it was that life-changing, life-defining moment. It was the beginning of everything. I won. Wow. I went off to Tulsa, Oklahoma to be on TV with Bob Hope. I have those photos. I have the sash. I have the entire experience. And it was fascinating and terrible. So get this. I want this. I get it. I get to Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1977. I'm from New York. The little girls are like, y'all have the funniest accent I ever heard. What the fuck are you talking about? It's how we talk in New York. What's wrong with these people?
What's the problem?
Right. Not very good. In fact, I heard myself talk on an interview, and I really was talking like this. That's how everybody talked. And I thought, I sound like a truck driver. Nothing against truck drivers, but it doesn't look good on a little 16-year-old girl. And that was when I trained myself to speak differently. And you know what I did? We didn't have the YouTube. I didn't have money for a dialect coach. I watched Charlie's Angels, and I can still do this. And I watched Jacqueline Smith, and I just changed the way I spoke. And now if you really want to interview me, I can do all kinds of accents, because I think British is probably the most sexy one.
So you studied and you were able to improve your voice just by watching videos.
I wanted it. I wanted to sound gorgeous.
Now, if your beautiful daughter said, I want to be an actress, would you recommend a voice coach for aspiring actresses that may not have your ability to watch a video and make the change?
You know, nowadays with YouTube, you can learn anything. I have people coming to me because, fast forward, I obviously teach and coach. I've got 50,000 students, and I can't wait to tell you how I created this company. But I had a woman come in recently, and she talked like this. And I'm like, huh. She's an image consultant. I said, we need to work on your voice. She's like, what do you want me to do? I said, well, let's lower it. She said, what do you want me to do, talk like this? I said, sweetheart, if I can do you and I can do this, we can find some happy medium. Because there is a level of beauty about voice. And I trained Fran Drescher. I coached her to do home shopping. And she's probably the only actress who could really get away with that scratchy, annoying, but that was her trademark.
Of course.
For the rest of us, I watched Kathleen Turner back then when I was young. I watched Demi Moore. I love that scratchy kind of sexy thing. And I just played with it. And this is technically how I talk. Except when I go to England, I find myself doing this a lot. And they're like, you're not from England. I'm like, I know, but I love it so much.
Oh, so do I. I love having a fake British accent.
Right.
I mean, if I could be any nationality, it would be British.
Hey, Christian Bale is British. I did not know that watching Batman, okay? He was doing his best American.
I'm surprised you didn't want, I love your man. He's obviously amazingly wonderful, but I'm surprised you didn't go with a Brit since you love the accent so much.
Well, I don't think you really have a choice. It was not British or American. I just found the sexiest, most amazing man on the planet.
Yes, you did.
And then I made him fall in love with me because we just did this. We just did a couples podcast.
Really?
So the next photo we'll share with you is Joshua. And on my phone, I have his picture. He's an award-winning bodybuilder. He's a four-time Mr. Arnold, Mr. Universe, Olympia, and a Chippendale, and a top fashion model. Yeah, he's physically... I could say at some point in his life, he was the most handsome man on the planet. Do you agree?
He's extraordinarily handsome, but he also has a very down-to-earth, sweet
who cares
heart.
about that? He's good looking.
No, well, let's talk relationships.
Oh, wow.
Since we're on the subject of Josh.
Yeah, we're going to bounce all. Well, hang on a second. We could get into Joshua, but we can talk relationships. So one of the things that is about him, and I do joke about his body all the time.
Yeah.
Because he is extraordinary, and I met him because of my fitness product. I was doing an exercise video in a hotel room in Las Vegas. My daughter was in one room, I'm in the living room, got some cameras, and my videographer says, do you want to meet a two-time Mr. Arnold? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm in the National Fitness Hall of Fame. I've sold $2.5 billion worth of health and wellness products on TV. And I know that big bodybuilders look at my product and go, huh. And oh, look at this. I happen to have the product here.
What a coincidence.
Well, if you're a smart marketer, you never leave home without it. And this is what I created. I created a thing called the SpinGym. And I have a crazy long history of fitness, not being fit, and selling more than almost anyone on the planet.
What was the secret to you being able to do that?
The fact that I can talk and I'm curious. So before I do this and explain Joshua, which can be a whole segment unto itself, I decided, okay, let's backtrack. Chronology is helpful. So I go to college. While I'm in college, I think this is a fun story, and don't argue we want to see this, but no. I'm in college and I want to be a lawyer, but not really. I really want to be an actress. But that's a stupid dream. That's a dream that everyone could make fun of. Really, who's really an actor? You can't really do that. And my parents, God bless them, my mother's Ukrainian, and her philosophy on success was, it's for other people. Be happy what you have. Her parents came to this country. She grew up in a one-bedroom apartment. She is an adult female, slept on the couch, didn't even have her own bedroom. And now she had a house and a husband and 2 kids, and she's like, you're doing very well. Don't push the envelope. And that was anything but me. And I pushed the envelope a lot. And so I called him one day. I had auditioned for a play. Did you do plays in high school?
I did actually do a few.
And what kind of roles did you get?
I was the star of our 6th grade musical. That's probably my most recent acting accolade.
That's awesome. What was the show?
It was a musical about the presidents.
Okay. So I had a acting professor, an acting teacher in high school. We did 6 plays and musicals every year. And you know what kind of roles I got? I got townsperson, chorus, and the dancer in the back. I never had a line. I never had a name.
Never had a lead.
Forget lead. You didn't even know I was there because I didn't speak.
Can you sing as well?
No. If I could sing, I would be Beyonce. I can dance. I can move. I was a Broadway dancer for a while. But no, I can't carry a tune at all, which is very debilitating because I really wish I could.
Okay.
I look at J-Lo's career going, in another life. And no, so I was always in the back. And I looked at, now here's a funny thing about my life though. I love movies so much. I love romantic comedies. I love stories that end well. And so I've written my own movie of my life. No. It's not more than it's the way I live.
I see.
So imagine this.
Your life is a movie.
It's more than a movie. It's a couple of movies. And so one of them is kind of a movie, things tie up at the end almost a little too coincidentally. So there were 2 girls when I was growing up, Ann Casapini and Renee Polina. You guys know who you are from high school. They were wonderful. They were beautiful. Renee was this soprano, gorgeous blonde who could sing like an angel. And Anne was this dark, beautiful girl who could also sing. So all the musicals that we did, like Brigadoon and Music Man, there was always a dark and a light. They had all the leads. And I would just look at them in awe. And I never had any of that. You know what I got to do recently? I reached out to both of them and took them to dinner in New York City.
Wow.
Because I think I was voted least likely to be anything in high school. And I turn out to be the one who's on television, doing movies, living the life. Renee teaches singing, and she's wonderful. Anne teaches yoga, and I love the both of them. But I'm very excited about how my story turned out.
In the day? Not at dinner. Back then.
They were the nice. Trust me, this is the crazy thing. It was not a mean girl situation.
Okay, good.
They were always very sweet to me. There was never. And I don't think they realized how much I idolized them. And because they were both so nice, like annoyingly nice. Okay, like.
Well, that's nice that they were nice because I got, like you, similar challenges, right, in the beauty looks department. I was bullied mercilessly. Were you bullied?
I wasn't bullied much because nobody cared about me. I just stayed and did my own thing. I did have a fight once, and it's funny. My dad always said, whatever you do, just don't punch first, punch last. That was pretty clever. And there was a girl who was picking on me, and we lived at a dead end with a little bridge. And she followed me home from school one day and somehow picked a fight, like a physical fight. But I knew this was happening. I told my parents how scared I was. And the funny thing was, so she follows me home, pulls my hair. We get into a little bit of fight. I probably run home crying. Her older sister knocks on my parents' door to tell them that I beat her sister up. And my father comes downstairs and he's like, that's not true. He said, well, how do you know that? He said, because I parked my car around the corner and I saw exactly what happened. Keep away from my kid or I'll beat both of you up.
Wow.
I'm like, Dad, you did what? You're like, whoa, that's so cool. So no, I always had him as a champion in my life. And I have great stories about my family. But so fast forward, no roles in high school. And here I am in college. And I'm like, but I still have this acting dream, but whatever. I auditioned for my senior year for the biggest Shakespearean play, As You Like It. Shakespeare wrote this beautiful character named Rosalind she's on stage for 2.5 hours. She gets dressed as a boy and a girl, and she is the big lead, right? So I audition. I go to the call board and I expect to see my name as townsperson number 3 or chorus, and my name's not there. And I had that moment going, damn, I didn't even get chorus. That's how tough college is. And then I look to the top saying, well, who got the big lead role? And I look at the top, and there's my name. And I remember looking at that thinking, I think they made a mistake. And this was ridiculous. I went to the college professor and I said, can you help me understand this? First of all, my senior, I don't even know if I can do a Shakespearean play for 2.5 hours. I think you might have made a mistake. And he's like, no, I didn't make a mistake. He said, you're exactly what I was looking for. You are everything I want for this character. And I'm like, excuse me? Then he went on, his name was Professor David Richmond. He went on to tell me all these things that he saw in me. The strength, a whole bunch of accolades. And Blanca, these were things that I knew I had in my heart, but that no one ever saw. They were always looking at my nose and my hair and my thighs and whatever. People just looked at that. And the crazy thing about the man who saw me the best, he was 100% legally blind. David couldn't see anything except the truth. And that's why he was directing Shakespeare, not a big physical play, but mostly words. He went on to become quite famous for being a blind director.
Wow.
And because of that play, we got great reviews. And I called my parents and I said, Mom, Dad, I know you spent a lot of money on my pre-law college education. I'm going to New York to be an actress. Silence. And then my mom, I think she was crying, was like, we believe in you, we love you, we cannot help you, we can't afford to help you. Follow your dream. And I moved to New York into a tiny little, the apartment was probably this big. My bed was here, you could eat refrigerator without getting out of bed, and you could figure out how to go to the bathroom. And I auditioned for my very first feature film called Splatter University, and I got the lead role.
Incredible.
And I will tell you, it's a slasher movie, but all I saw was this great character named Julie Parker, and I had the lead. I was like, it was great. My only rule was no nudity. No nudity. A lot of killing, but who cared? And she, to this day, it's now, the film's probably 40-something years old, has its own Facebook group, has its own following, and people literally reach out to me going, we love Julie Parker.
That's pretty incredible, from going to the Shakespearean performance and you go to New York and you get the first part that you try out for as the lead. I mean, what are the chances of that even happening?
I told you want to watch the movie of my life, because I'm going to continue on. I'm going to share with you how fantastic this life has been. In things that you go, wait, how did that happen? How are you also the host of the Laugh Factory, the premier comedy club in Los Angeles for 3 years? How did you start the X Games for ESPN?
Well,
I make you nuts.
Well, listen, your accomplishments, to even read through them, it's like 87 pages on the internet. But what I want to know is, was that professor one of the people that transformed you because he believed in you?
Oh, yeah. I will tell you, one of the things that I learned in life is you have to have personal cheerleaders. You have to have people who think that you're special. You can't be the only one.
Yep.
And, and in spite of people bullying you or making fun of you, whatever that is, you got to have somebody. So, to fast forward 40 years to meeting Joshua, the absolute wonderful love of my life, while he does look the way he does, I didn't choose him. He chose me. And that is remarkable. I mean, I do have a first husband who was a great relationship. I'm still connected to him. We own companies together. We own property together. He's the father of both of my children. And he's a wonderful guy. We'd also raised this little boy who got murdered. And somehow, when you go through a trauma like that, it's hard to recover. And so we both gone our separate ways. He's in love with a beautiful woman, has 2 other kids, and we're great friends. I mean, we're so close, it's bizarre. And I don't resent him for that, but we both needed something different. And I also think there's chapters in your life where you want something in one era, you want something else. And when I decided that I wanted Joshua, I was at a very down point in my life. I have lots of accolades, but they don't keep you warm at night. They don't cuddle you at night. And when I separated from Tom, I have these 2 beautiful babies that I didn't have till I was 42.
That's right.
And I am in love with my children. They're twins, boy and girl twin, and they're really cute. They were cute to dress up. They were cute to take out. I had the best time with my babies. And I remember saying to myself, And it was a very odd but powerful decision. I don't want to fall in love right now. I want to just love my kids and my career. And so in my 40s and 50s, that's all I did. I worked incessantly. I love what I get to do. And then I was sitting in a dude ranch one night, horseback riding with my kids, like loving life, like again, the whole James Bond adventure. And there were all these small cabins, all couples and families. I put my little munchkins to bed. They were fighting and wrestling. I loved it. I'm sitting outside and I'm like, why am I so freaking unhappy? And I'm like, all these other people were couples and I'm like, oh my God. And my daughter picked up on this. At one point she said to me, Mom, don't we make you happy? And I'm like, yeah, you do. We've traveled the world, the three of us. I love you guys very much, but I can't take you to bed. I can't have you cuddle me at night. I can't have you be a contemporary. And you're also going to grow up and leave at some point. And I remember saying, you know what? Something's got to change. And then I wrote down on a list all the things that I wanted. It was a pretty long list, pretty specific list.
So you made a vision list of the man you desired?
I not only made
qualities.
let me tell you something. I not only made a list, I concluded that I didn't want a man. I wanted to be a power couple. And when I did that, I found 3 photos, 3 couples. I found Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. I put that there. I found Gabrielle Reese and Laird Hamilton. You may not know them. She's a model. He's a surfer. Put that there. And then I found Cindy Crawford and her man.
Gerber.
Yeah, Randy Gruber. And I put the 3 of them together. I said, that's what I want. My ex would never walk a red carpet with me. He hated going to events. I was always going alone. And I said, no. And I watched and I looked at the 3 of them and I looked at them all the time. I have an Instagram page. You should go to this called Love Story X2. It's just filled with Joshua and I on red carpets and loving each other. We've taken thousands of photos together. And I'm like, oh my God, when you look at that picture and you look at the 3 I had, it fits beautifully. It's like, oh my God, I made that happen.
So that was important to you to have someone that wanted to be in the spotlight.
Well, there's an irony. He doesn't want to be in the spotlight. He's willing to be in the spotlight and he looks like he should be. But he's willing to be my partner.
He's willing to go to events with you, walk the red carpet. He dropped you off at the podcast.
He would sit here if he wasn't going.
He's supportive.
You know, every woman should find a Joshua.
Would he ever do reality television with you? Would he do that?
He would do anything I asked him to do.
Okay.
So, because he is so supportive. And it's kind of funny how it happened. And he's also 17 years younger, which makes me look really good or bad depending on how you talk about bullying.
You're a beautiful couple.
I think so. I think we're gorgeous.
Love is ageless.
Yeah, but then you get people going, what, are you screwing your trainer? I'm like, here's my
They're just jealous.
No, it's not about jealousy. Here's my thing. Don't listen to anybody who's not as successful as you are. His mother, who is very sweet, we took her on vacation recently, and she turned to me, and I know she meant good, because I've gone to a lot of events with her, watching Joshua on stage. He's a professional bodybuilder. And she said this, and it bothered me for a moment. She said, you know, it's funny, Claudia asked me, her sister-in-law said, oh, maybe they really are in love. And I thought, what a small town, kind of not so nice comment. It's like, he's not with me for money or fame or whatever, and I'm not with him for whatever. We just happen to really be crazy in love. And by the way, so that list, a girlfriend of mine had a very handsome husband. And I was joking with her and I said, so, you know, tell me about that. Oh, here's the funny thing. I walked into my girlfriend's house and there's a vision board with all these, you know, the feather boas all around it. And in the middle it says Forbes. And I'm like, huh? She said, yeah, I want to be in Forbes magazine. I said, but you didn't write the word magazine and Forbes is right here. I said, you visioned me. I'm in your house.
You know what?
What?
I set an intention to meet you.
Did you really?
I was you don't know this story?
No.
Okay. I was a huge fan of yours and still am.
Well, thank you.
But at the time, we weren't friends, right? You were just someone I saw that I looked up to. And you were a speaker at the Global Awakened Trinity Summit of Kessa Gooden. And she said, Forbes Riley is coming to the event. I said, what? Are you serious? So yes, I manifested our friendship. And I'm so grateful that you're in my life.
You are just a powerful one, just fun, beautiful. Passionate, compassionate woman. You're a woman who supports other women. And I think that is just precious, and you don't lose that. So I said to her then about her husband, she said, well, I wanted someone who looked like he walked off the cover of a romance novel. I said, I'm putting that one on top.
You put that on the
I
list?
put that on the top of the list.
How interesting. And you got that.
I did.
Because he is...
Well, but here's what's really important.
You really got
I'm
that.
not the only one who gets to manifest stuff. I got everything on the list. Everything on
How
the list.
many
and
items
more.
were on this Forbes list?
How long is my arm? There was a lot. Well, because at a certain age, I was in my mid-50s when I asked for him. And then I didn't go on Tinder. I didn't go to bars. He came to my hotel room. And I was doing my fitness.
He just knocked on the door. I'm your vision.
Well, no, you know, it's funny. The universe has a bit of a sense of humor. So he did just knock on the door. I mean, I'm in my hotel room. I'm doing my little fitness product here. Here it is. And I'm playing with it. And like I said, my videographer was also a friend of his. And my videographer said, you want to meet a two-time Mr. Arnold? And I said, no, I don't want to meet a bodybuilder. Bodybuilders think my thing is kind of silly. He said, no, you're going to like him. I'm like, okay, fine. He knocks on the door, and he arrives when this other female fitness model showed up, who was doing videos. I'm assuming they're together. He's younger. I'm not even thinking about it. And like every man in my life, I'm like, come on, take your shirt off, because I want to see how the muscles fire. He just finished a competition. He was a little bit puffy, kind of big. We do this, and I'm like, oh, he's adorable, but I don't. Then I said, turn to the camera and tell me how much you love this. And he's like, I wouldn't use it. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? He said, well, it doesn't build muscle, and I'm all about building muscle. My daughter's in the other room, and she screams, he's an asshole. I'm really sorry. Nice meeting you. And we left. We went to a magic show that night. That would have been the end of the story, except he took a picture of us, like on his phone, posted it on Instagram the next day, and it says, I just met the most incredible woman. I hope to be able to do her fitness product and an infomercial, but I can't wait to talk to her again. I'm like, that's odd. And so I DM'd him, and we DM'd each other for about a month. And it was fun, and it got kind of flirty and sexy, and I'm like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm having so much fun. And then he sent me this picture of him. I mean, physically, he's just spectacular. So I said, why don't you come out to my house in California from Vegas? Now, here's something interesting. I told my daughter, don't you ever date a bodybuilder. They only like three things: working out, food, and themselves. And if you ever get on the back of a motorcycle, I will kill you. Because my cousin lost her leg in a motorcycle accident when she was 17. Joshua, the bodybuilder, drives up on his motorcycle. And I'm going to show you another picture. He looks like the ad. He got this all in leather. He's 6'2", takes off his helmet, and I'm like, can somebody film it? Like, there's nobody. I'm like,
I wish we had video of that.
it's just not, you know what? I should grab my phone and show you this picture, because you would drool. You're like, this is almost not real. I'm sorry, excuse me for a second. No, it's worth it. I have lots of photos to show, but this one, okay, wait. Because women look at this photo, and you have to experience what I did, because it's almost like this is out of a movie.
That's the cover of the romance novel that you manifested.
Wait. I'm going to show it to your crew behind the camera. They're going to have that same reaction. I do two little things. One, I play a game with people when they say, can I see a picture of your husband? I'm like, yeah. If you don't say wow when you look at this photo, I'll give you $100.
If I don't say wow,
don't say wow.
oh, you're going to lose $100.
You guys, see that? I got a Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
Okay, I got holy shit. I think that counts. Right, can you guys, I mean, I'll give this to you, but that's him, that's Joshua.
Damn, girl, you get to, you're lucky.
No, wait, you're lucky.
But I also,
wait,
I said,
that's not the picture of the guy who got
I
off the motorcycle.
also love his heart. I've gotten to know him. I spent 5 days with him at Forbes Factor Live. We've had meals together. We've been in Vegas together. Like, he's a really nice person.
I'm not saying he's not, but I'm saying that most people.
But listen, looks fade too, Forbes, right?
Nah.
So, dude.
When the personality fades, all he's going to have is his looks, and that's okay. No, wait. I can always just look at the pictures. No, here's the thing. But because you look at this man.
Oh my God.
And it's just an oh my God moment. You almost can't believe that he is real. Wait. I just had the picture of him getting off. Okay. He drives up to my house, okay? Tell me that this is not out of a movie.
Jesus Christ.
I get a lot of Jesus Christ. So guys, I'm going to show my guys in the back. That's who pulled up to my house. And I'm like,
Let me see that again. Oh, wow.
That was the moment that I had.
He is perfect. Like, literally. And just for the record, let me just say my fiance should not get jealous.
Why didn't we
but
get-
yeah, I didn't tell you I'm
Oh,
engaged.
no, we can do that in a second.
All right.
So he,
That got
so he pulls
perfection.
up, and I'll give you the picture so you guys can appreciate this full screen. And now I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. He's a playboy. He heard that I have money. I own this beautiful home in California. And, And then I said, this is probably going to be a really great weekend. Enjoy it. He walks over to me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, oh my God. And then in my clarity moment, said, what are you doing here? He got down on one knee, grabbed my hand, said, I'm not very religious, but something told me that you need me. That was 8 years ago. And he tells that story. It's not like I'm making this up.
He got on his knee?
He got down on his knee.
I thought he was going to propose or something.
I was sitting, I sat down and I looked, said, so what are you doing here? He got down rather than sit next to me and said, and I'm like, and then he did the most wonderful things. I was speaking at UCLA and he carried my bags and he was attentive and it was almost kind of puppy doggish. I'm like, who are you? And it just kept getting better and better. And it was so crazy magical. When I left, it was really hard. It was like, I was going back, I live in Florida, I had a house in California, and he said that he was a videographer. And I said, okay, well, I'm doing a live event. I was doing a Forbes Factor, and the hurricane was supposed to hit, it was 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And I said, well, why don't you come out and just film it? I didn't know if it was any good, I didn't care. Come on out to Florida. And the crazy thing was the hurricane was about to hit. His ex-girlfriend, who is also the mother of his only daughter, didn't want to lose him, even though they've been fighting and it was over. When I kind of came in the scene, she fought really hard for him. And he called me the night before. I don't even think he called me. I think he texted me and said, I'm not coming. There's a hurricane and I'm just going to stay in Vegas. And I said, you know what? I railed him. I just railed him. I'm like, how dare you? Number one, I didn't have a videographer. Number two, I think you're a liar.
Number one.
I went through a whole list of it. And he's like, he gets on a plane. He literally at that moment, it was 3 o'clock his time, 6 o'clock in the morning my time. He packed his bag and got on the plane. And I remember when I saw him in my driveway, I ran into his arms, jumped my legs around him. And then the hurricane hit. He got the last plane in. Everybody in my Forbes Factor got stuck in my house. No electricity for 5 days. We're all in the airports are shut. You're stuck in my home. Hotels are not open. And he's videoing this. And he's in my bedroom. And we're just totally falling in love. Like he was the most supportive, amazing creature ever. And he made a decision then to not go back to Vegas ever. And he moved in with me. And that was it.
So even after 8 years, you're still in love with him today?
Oh my God. I am more in love with him than I've ever been. I woke up this morning. We have a thing. Because I said to him at one point, because it was so passionate and so wonderful, I said, the honeymoon's going to end. It always ends. You've been in relationships, doesn't it end?
Well, I mean, I've had my share, and after a while, sometimes it becomes monotonous, or it gets boring, or
you know what he said
it's not
to me?
as exciting.
He said, why does it have to end? And I looked at him and I thought, I'm going to make a different commitment than I've ever made anywhere in my life. And every morning I wake up and I find myself saying how much I love you. And he says, I love you. And we go to bed saying, I love you. And he's hanging out with me. And here's the other thing. So I own a television studio. And I really just thought that he was this jock, this fitness guy. And I was fine with that. He said he was a 3D graphic artist. I said, that's cool. He's got 2 college degrees. He walks into my studio and he looks around. He says, I could run this place. And I'm like, what did you say? Because my ex and I built this, but he doesn't know anything about studios and he never did anything at all to help me. And you could run this place? He said, didn't I tell you that I've been a gaffer? I've shot on movies. I was a lead, blah, blah, blah. I'm a great photographer. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you know how expensive it is to have a videographer follow you in the day of social media? Sleep with him. No, just kidding. It's a bit of a joke, but he travels with me everywhere.
Well, you are blessed. I mean, because we know that could be,
No, he's the most loving creature in the world.
So you get to be with someone you love that supports you with your art.
Yeah.
But from what you've already shared, acting is a huge passion.
Yeah.
But what was your thought behind opening the studio, which I've been to in Tampa for Forms Factor Live? Was that because you wanted to continue to be producing television shows, or what was the
No.
reasoning behind that?
So, let's see. I'm going to backtrack a story real quick. I was really young, little. My dad was this inventor and a magician. I still do magic tricks. I love magic. I love finding magic in everyday life. And my dad would tinker in his garage and he would make things that did not exist. He made me my very first computer called a Thinker Blinker, which did all these crazy things. He built me a Batmobile out of a half a garbage can, a lawnmower engine, and paper mache. I will supply those pictures because you have no idea what I'm talking about. The craziest invention that my father did, and I can stand here or sit here, and I know that I am the only one on the planet of 7 billion people who had what my dad built. We had a very, very small house, hard to get privacy. And we remodeled the bathroom, the only bathroom that we had. And you know how there's like little doors and then you have a little like 6-inch medicine cabinet? Well, it butted up against the attic. My dad took a 4-foot in diameter round piece of wood and built us 3 shelves and then put wood on top of it and made it as a lazy Susan. I mean, imagine this. You open the little doors and there's 3 stacks, this, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet deep, of your toiletries. And then you would, and it was heavy.
You're a
moved
daddy's
it.
girl.
Oh my God. Then there was my mom's toiletries. Then there was my sister's toiletries. And then in the center of this circle, up to the age of about 12, could crawl over the sink and get into the medicine cabinet, spin it around, close the door, and read books.
Wow.
I disappeared into my medicine cabinet. I know there's not another child out there. Me and Harry Potter. Harry lived under the stairs. I lived in my medicine cabinet. And that was probably the beginning of going, you don't live a life or you don't dream like anyone you've ever met. You're a little odd, but I was not judgmental. I grew up in my medicine cabinet. One day I'm in the garage with my dad, tinkering away, and he turns to me and he says, kiddo, how do I get my ideas out to the world? And I said, Dad, I have no idea. I'm 8. Well, when he died, the yard sale guys came in and they bought all of his tools. And then the trash collectors came in and they took everything. And they just it was a small garage. They just took everything and threw it away. And I was so saddened by the concept that if you don't get your ideas out when you're on this side of the dirt, nobody cares. Blanca, for about 20 years of my life, I would go to inventor conventions, I'd find inventors, and I would put them on infomercials and home shopping and make millionaires because I knew that their odds are they're never going to be able to pay their family. It's very frustrating living with an inventor. And I saved a lot of lives that way and created some family memories. And I've got a lot of people who still write me at Christmas saying thank you for what you did. And I did it because of my dad. So fast forward, I discover that I have this talent. Oh, all right. So
Wait, before we go on to the next story, I just want to say I never knew that about you. I didn't know that you becoming a 2 billion sales sensation in this country was influenced by your dad being an inventor. So that's a really wonderful thing to learn. And It just shows how our parents, I mean, obviously your dad was one of the, an incredible father.
Oh, both my parents.
What's the number one law of life your dad taught you?
Explain what that means.
What's the number one philosophy or mantra?
Dream. Dream really big and create things that don't exist.
Would your dad have approved of Joshua today?
He would have been in awe of Joshua. Most men that I see are in awe of the physicalness that he has achieved. He is a state high jump champion. He was a basketball player. He could dunk and jump up to the net. His whole dream was to meet Michael Jordan, just a huge fan of his. And my dad that was one thing, but Joshua geeks out. I mean, him and my dad would have, when I was younger.
They would have geeked out together?
My dad was a photographer in the Korean War. He built me a dark room in our basement downstairs. I didn't really love it that much, but I loved being with my dad. So we would do the tray and develop pictures, and I was my dad's girl. And so the two of them would have geeked out on equipment all day long, on computers all day long.
Interesting.
And Joshua was not very social. My dad wasn't very social. They're geniuses in their own world, and Joshua doesn't like small talk. If you're not talking cameras, video, fitness, he's not talking to you.
So how did you get into being the $2 billion queen of sales? How did that even happen?
That's the universe going, ha, ha, ha. I was an actress. I moved out after I worked on Broadway. I was in New York. By the way, I don't know if you know, I did a Broadway show with Christopher Reeve, Superman. But I couldn't find an agent to really work with me. And here's a story that you will appreciate. And by the way, I hope you have got 5.5 hours to listen to this. So I'm in New York, and now I'm kind of cute, and I've done a couple of movies and a couple of commercials, and I want it very badly. You need an agent. Well, one of the agents from the big agencies finally said, all right, you know what, I'll meet with you. I'll meet with you in this hotel, we'll have lunch. And so I'm thinking at the hotel restaurant. He's thinking hotel lunch in his room. And now here's how naive I was, and I was very naive. This is long before the internet came out, and you just didn't know what you didn't know. I knock on his door, and there's beautiful lunch, and I'm thinking we're gonna have lunch. Only I didn't know I was on the menu. Luckily, he was a shorter guy, and at some point he literally chased me around the bed, and I'm looking at him going, you gotta be kidding me. I'm gonna squash you.
It never crossed your mind that
Not in a million years. I didn't have
You
sex.
were naive. You were
I didn't
young.
have sex till well after college. My mother was a very Puritan kind of woman. I think she was a virgin at 27 when she married my dad. It's just how she was raised, and that was and I wanted to do good for my parents, so I just didn't even think about it.
Sure.
And I went home, and that was not the first time I ended up getting chased around a desk or asked to do things. I'm like, I'm not going to get a movie. And I just thought it was ridiculous. I wasn't even offended. I just thought that's so stupid, not going to happen. So, I mean, what would you do?
I would leave.
Well, but you'd leave, but you still don't have an agent. So I went home, and I got a piece
What
of
did you do?
Right. Got a piece of, remember stationery? I got a piece
Of course.
of stationery.
I love my stationery.
Yeah,
I
I
miss
know.
it.
It's a certain age group. I know. And I created a thing called CMA, Creative Management for Artists, and I opened up, and this is in the 80s, my own management company.
Wow,
And I hired a
good for
woman, a
you.
British woman named Lindsay Maxwell. And Lindsay thought Forbes Riley was spectacular. She was a great actress. She could do this, 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 and this. She'd get on the phone and pitch her. And you know the really crazy thing, and I never admitted this? I was Lindsay Maxwell.
Oh my God.
I was my manager for 3 years.
That is incredible. Just like basically, I mean, it reminds me of the movie Tootsie, but
But it was weirder.
But you
Yeah.
were your own agent with the British accent.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
I submitted myself.
This is a movie.
I got soap operas. I got commercials. I worked so much because I know how to pitch. Lindsay pitched Forbes Riley all over the place. Talk about imposter syndrome. And I am on a set at one point, and I'm talking to the producer, and he's like, I need to call your manager. And I'm like, I got to go to a payphone. I felt like I got a Superman. Hello. And you know, at that point, you're like, yeah, hello. It's like, hello. I thought I could get arrested for this, so I never told anybody. I lived my own little crazy fantasy here, but I worked all the time. I
Is
negotiated
Lindsay
deals.
still employed?
Yes. I negotiated contracts. I learned a lot. I did an off-Broadway show. I mean,
Wow.
having a split personality, which when you're an actress isn't really that hard.
Well, it does underscore an important law of life, which
Okay.
sometimes do you agree that you get more money when someone else is negotiating it for you?
Okay, if that is a law, it's an absolute law. Two things you should never do. You should never represent yourself because you have no leverage. If you want them to hire you and like you, you can't be the bad guy. So the bad guy is the negotiator. The bad guy pushes going, if you want this talent, this is what you got to do. You can't be that. And the second is, when you want to dissuade authority, like if you're going to the car dealership and you want to buy a car, even if you're not married, I got to check with my husband to get you out of that situation. So you defer to a higher authority. That always gives you more leverage as well.
So how did this lead up to you getting to be on TV as a sales mogul?
Well, funny thing. So I moved out to Los Angeles at some point in the 90s. And as an actress, you go on auditions all the time. Now, the cool and sad thing about being an actor is that I could have 10 interviews a day. Can you imagine as a professional that you're going on 5 to 10 business interviews every day? That is your job, to be interviewed professionally. The problem with that is you are rejected all the time. Most people don't get 1 out of 10. Even if you got 5 out of 10, had a really good batting average, you still get rejected 5 times. And so the rejection is a very hard thing. And you don't know why they're rejecting you. You could look like their mother, their sister, somebody they don't like. You're too young, too old, too fat, too thin, too pretty. It doesn't matter. It still feels not good that you didn't get it. So that was a big issue as I was growing up, dealing with all the rejection. That wasn't meant to be bad because I booked so many things, but I'm the kind of person who likes to focus on what I didn't book. So one day I walk into an audition, there's a pen on the table, says, look at that camera, sell me the pen. I had a thought that all the other actors were going to go, oh, it's got blue ink, it's got this kind of thing, it sells for $1. And some little voice said, don't do that, do something else. I'm like, okay. Hey, you know, it's a really funny thing. When I went off to college, I was 15 and a half years old. I was really young, very insecure, and my mom would write me longhand notes every day. I used to race to that mailbox to pick them up because I realized a pen like this can reach out and touch somebody's heart. I put it down, and I was ready to leave because I was goofy. Jake, of Body by Jake, again, I'll show you a picture, grabs my face and says, you're going to make me a lot of money. I have no idea what he's talking about. Cable TV has just started, and he has an idea for a 24-hour health and fitness channel called the Cable Health Club. And it was a 24-hour channel. It was brilliant. It was beyond brilliant. It had 4 parts to it. The first part was Tammy Lee Webb doing aerobics, Jake working out with a homemaker, healthy living tips, and then Forbes Riley, pre-QVC, pitching health and wellness and fitness products. Now, Blanca, can you imagine being a lawyer but not going to law school? Like learning on the job? There was no pitch training, literally.
So they just threw you in the fire.
Literally threw me, and I'll show you the video. It's insane. Like they would go, hi, here's the product. And then they would give me, this was the irony for me. They would usually have a fitness model to demo it, and she would have abs and a little bra top. I could never wear a bra top. I actually designed a zip-up jacket in a lot of different colors that covered my butt, because I had a butt, and I had a little belly, but you never saw it. And my philosophy back then was so shallow. I said, you know, God doesn't give you everything. He can give you abs and really great boobs, but he doesn't give you a brain. It's not really true. But the girls would come in literally and go, okay, so like it's an ab machine. So like, what does it do? Like it works out your abs and so, oh, okay. So, and they were so ditzy. I know it sounds crazy, but they were. Primarily because selling fitness on TV wasn't a thing. They could train you, but they didn't know how to market or sell the equipment. And I don't know why, Blanca, but all those years that I went through, whatever it is, I looked at it and I could tell you every single thing that it did, why it did it, how it did it. I would look at the camera, and I did that for 5 years. I sold 1,500 products. I wrote all the scripts. I did all the direct to cameras. And Jake, after 5 years of this, sold the network to Fox TV for $500 million. Oof. Now, I will share that I didn't understand how to negotiate deals. I got paid very well to shoot the show, but I never thought to say, hey, can I have the equity?
The back end.
And so out of $500 million, I got a thank you.
He didn't consider maybe giving you a bonus because you did such a great job?
Nobody, it's not good business to consider giving somebody that.
Did you ask? Hey,
no, I didn't.
Cut me a slice.
Well, number one, I didn't realize what had happened. No,
okay.
I was just very happy with what was going on.
You were happy, but
it wasn't until years later that I'm like, got a little bonus money would have been fun.
Well, you know, sometimes they say, you know, the day you sign the deal is the day you make your money. And, you know, it's difficult because everyone is growing, everyone's evolving, things are moving fast, and you don't always see the last degree of where something can go. You can't always predict everything.
You know, but what a great lesson, because I now negotiate for equity. I now look at the bigger
always,
picture.
Right?
So that was a beautiful learning lesson.
Good.
And he was wonderful to me. Jake, if you're watching, I love you. No, I do. In fact,
love you too.
Well, and sadly, his house just burned down. I did talk to him.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
After 30 years, he was in the Hollywood Malibu fires.
Well, let me ask you this. When he built that cable, it was a channel.
It was an entire network.
An entire network.
Like Animal Planet.
That went 24 hours a day.
Correct.
And how many sub-programs did he have on that channel, if you know?
Well, I did probably 20 shows a month for 5 years.
And what do you think, you're friends with him. What does he think of everything that's happened, and you think of social media and where, you know, OTT streaming is going?
You know what? The man was insanely ahead of his time, because what came out of that for me, and this is why I love him, is that infomercials launched at that same time. So infomercials started in the early 90s, and I happened to be there.
Right.
Now, pitching is not something that anyone ever thought a woman could do.
Right.
Pitching came from the boardwalk of Jersey. And the boardwalk guys out there going, hey, little lady, you know this knife can cut through a tin can and a tomato. And you've been to home shows and you've seen these pitch guys, and they're guys. It was a guy's thing.
Right.
And I backdoored my way into becoming a pitch woman. I pitched professionally all the time. And all of a sudden, when they went to television, the Billy Mays, the Anthony Sullivans, and the big guys who were pitchers professionally, they needed a female sidekick. There was no one else in the market. It was what I was doing. And I was at the forefront of all of that. And the irony of that is that I found an agent who was kind of a host agent, and I brought him to the big infomercial convention, a guy named Blair Taylor, who changed my life and I changed his, and kind of made him into this idea of, you're going to represent me in this world. And I did 197 infomercials.
Wow.
And then QVC and HSN started. You know what QVC and HSN are? They're live pitching platforms.
Of course.
Oh my God, I was at home.
Would you ever consider having your own pitching platform?
You know what? Here's the thing about pitching, is it's not just what you see. It's really challenging to have I'm watching, it's funny, I'm a precursor to all the little kids out there, I take kids lightly, who are doing TikTok sales and Amazon Live sales. I don't want to have that own channel because having inventory and returns and customer service is a behemoth. But what I distilled with the help of my daughter about 5 years ago was the concept of teaching people how to pitch. And there's nobody on the planet who's gone through my history of this or who hears communication and pitching the way I do. And so I was very happy. I did QVC for 30 years, QVC and HSN. 30 years. And
I
could pitch
remember
anything.
watching you. I mean, I was, one of your viewing audience.
And probably one of my customers. We sold my fitness product, we sold health and wellness, and I started a clothing line, we did makeup, I had a product called Gone in 60 Seconds. I mean, it was a genius time. And then I created my little SpinGym, which I probably should show you how that works. And you've done this, right?
I did it at Forbes Factor, and I also
One of the things is people don't
one.
realize that you can sit here, this thing pulls at over 125,000 rotations every second. And you're like, oh my God, this is a crazy thing. And you can get a phenomenally crazy workout using this thing. And nobody realizes that when you look at it initially. But I took this after much, so I didn't want to have my own product. I didn't want to be that responsible because I still wanted to be an actress. And one of the unfortunate parts of my life and the blessing in my life is all the same thing. The F word. Focus. I didn't have any. I wanted to be an actress, and I wanted to be a TV host, and I wanted to be selling things, and I didn't see a difference. You have to have a different agent for each one of those. And very often I would get a movie role, but I was already committed to doing a TV thing, and they would get mad at me, and then they were like, you make all this money doing infomercials, why do you still want to do this? And so for them, it was a little more confusing. Different agents.
Different
You had
agents.
an agent for infomercial, an agent for acting, an agent for hosting.
Interesting.
And I worked all the time and trying to balance schedules, and I was always making somebody mad because they only get 10% of what you make.
Right. So by diluting the different categories,
Right.
they didn't make as much as they wanted you to focus on their area.
Right. So
Okay.
there was always that tug, but I was having the time of my life. When I created SpinGym 15 years ago, I had been promoting because I helped the launch of resistance bands. And when they first came out, and I was sitting in my living room one afternoon, I was rehabbing my knee from a skiing accident, and I was showing how you use it. This particular resistance band had a really hard handle, like a hairbrush, and I pull on it, and I go like this, and it flies off my foot and shatters my nose for the second time. I get taken to the hospital by my then husband. His hands are bloody, my face is bloody. They separate us. They were going to arrest him because they thought it looked like he punched me. No, it was my own stupidity, thank you very much. But the irony of that particular moment, this is great. I learned lessons. You got these laws of life. One of the laws that I live by is show up. 90% of life is just showing up. So I do this, I land in the hospital, I've got a smashed nose, my eyes are all black and blue, and my agent calls, my hosting agent calls, and she says, I've got a show that's going to change your life. It's a talk show. You are perfect for this. I'm like, okay, where do I have to go? And she says, you have to be there.
You're taking calls in the hospital.
Oh.
That's my girl.
And I'm also thinking high on morphine going, I'll be there. And I literally said, I'll show up. The next day, I go to this audition and my face is covered like this. Now, I don't think about like it's cosmetic. I'm really in pain. And it was for a national talk show called Essentials. They were looking for 2 rock stars to host this, 2 women. This was the cusp of when women were hosting shows. And they had all these newscasters and celebrity actresses. And so and they wanted to see if you could do a demo table. You know, you see those. So we're doing this, and this very famous newscaster looks at me and she's like, she said to me, you look a lot like Hannibal Lecter. And I turned to her and I said, wow, now I know who I'm having for lunch. And the crazy story, the thing about that is that a couple of weeks later they called. They said, we would like to see you. Does your nose look okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm fine. And I auditioned against Carol Alt. I don't know if you know who Carol Alt is. She
A
is
model.
a massively
She's a
beautiful
supermodel.
cover, supermodel.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. And somebody that I used to look at
And
on the
so
covers.
are you, darling.
Well, thank you very much. But
There's nothing wrong with you.
Oh, I know, but she was who I wanted to look like. So she was one of my, and they had picked one of the hosts. The host was a cute blonde named Andy. And the funny thing is, we had great chemistry. And the final part of that story is how nice you are to people that you don't think matter. So let's rewind back.
I love that law of life. That's
Right.
one of my favorites.
Let me rewind to being in high school.
Okay.
My high school drama teacher taught us that even if you have the lead in the play, you paint the scenery, you sell the tickets, you show up, and I got that lesson ingrained in me. And so I was shooting the Body by Jake show in the same studio they were going to do this talk show in. And when I booked the job, I got to be the co-host of this major national talk show. One of the crew guys came to me on day one and he said, I got this job for you. I'm like, I'm sorry, excuse me? He says, yeah, when you left, they asked me what you were like to work with. And I told them that you're one of the only people who knows my kids' names, always cares how I'm doing, and really pays attention to everybody on the set. I do that because this is the family. You work with these people 10 hours, 12 hours a day. You're not better than them. You're just on a different side of the camera. And that's how I've always felt. And, you know, he did give me the job because that was one of the reasons they hired me.
I love
A lot
that.
of the other actors or hosts had attitude, and I just don't. And I love when people say, oh, Forbes, you're so humble. I'm like, no, I just am. I live in a state of gratitude. I love the fact that you had any idea who I was, that you want to watch me, that people want to see my movies or do whatever, because I can remember times in my life crying myself to sleep, wondering if anybody cared at all. And I'm absolutely grateful.
With all the highs and, of course, the lows, I mean, I went to Forbes Factor Live where you taught us a lot of, I mean, I can't even, would take me about 80 hours to go into what I learned. But with the highs and the lows and the skills that you teach, what is your advice to get out of the low?
Well, that's an interesting thing. You know, there's lows for so many reasons. And one of the things that I uncovered, so I was in my early 30s, and I was at that moment successful, making nice money, and pretty focused on what I thought I wanted. And have you ever been at that point in your life where you're like, I'm going? Well, I'm going didn't appear to other people as very nice. Like if I was at a party and I would only want to talk to the director of movies because you're very sweet, you're a lawyer, there's nothing we're going to do together, I want to talk to him. And I was at a party one night and a friend of mine called me after it was over and he said, my friends don't like you. And I pretty much found myself saying, who cares? Which is a very shallow thing to get. And people, you know, you see celebrities get to a certain point, everyone tell you how wonderful you are, you start to believe your own hype. And he says, yeah, I just went to a seminar, kind of this healing seminar. I think you should go. And I'm like, I'm good. He says, no, I'm going to pay for you to go because I believe in you. And if you keep going down this road, it's not going to work out the way you think. And I'm like, what an idiot. And I did it kind of out of spite. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to show you that I don't need this. And I showed up. And if you've never been to seminars or trainings, they happen all around the world. One of the best things that you can do. Show up with a group of strangers and go through an experience, whatever it is. Whether it's learning something new, business training, but in this case it was personal development, which I highly recommend. Personal development is a thing everybody should develop, their personality, their persona. You should leave the garbage behind you, and I love this training. And it changed my life. There was a lot of crying and a lot of releasing about how you felt about your mom and your dad and you're this and you're that. And a light bulb went off for me. It was a very powerful training. That Saturday night of that training is one of the greatest nights of my life because they showed me who I could be that I never imagined. They did it very strategically. And I didn't work with them. After I was finished, I was good. But something said, you know, you could do that for other people. And I kept thinking, but I just want to be an actress. And I kept saying, you can do that. Now, how about not you could, you will.
So now you took on another skill set.
I had this vision of what I could do. I opened up my living room to 8 people. I charged them like $500 a piece. I don't know where all this came from. I had 8 people in my living room. And all day long, I did what I did. And that's how Forbes Factor was born. And there was a lot of yelling and screaming and crying and breaking through. And I'm like, oh my God, this is good. I'm having a blast. And what happened in that room was nothing short of miraculous. Like, what came out of it? I saw things in people that they'd never seen. I got rid of some limiting beliefs. I mean, it was insane. In fact, so insane that particular first time that out of that group, you know all the countertops in my studio? They're all very inventive. That was one of the guys in my training. I got him to release all the stuff that he believed himself as this tough New Jersey kid, and he flourished as an artist and is committed to me. The second one is a woman who, she is a painter, I guess, an artist, a beautiful woman, and she went through this. And you remember the picture in my office of me standing there with my SpinGym? It's like 7 feet tall. She painted that. That's the last time she painted. She went to work for me as my housekeeper for 14 years. She said, I'm completely devoted. Whatever you gave me, I want to pay it back to you. And that was the very first time. And then I started doing these a lot. And I realized I had this crazy, goofy gift to see things in you and a commitment that says, look, if you can get rid of that past of, of people bullying you, of your parents thinking that you're not enough, or your parents thinking you're too much, or whatever it is that you drag with you, if you can cut it off and literally stop, you can write a different future. If you don't, you're destined to repeat the same bullshit that you went through. And so I took it as my own personal mission that I can fix, heal, transform, and you saw it.
It was one of the most powerful things I've ever gone through. I'm still friends with a lot of people. I think that must have been about 4 or 5 years ago that we met, maybe. And there was a lot of emotion. Everybody opened up. There was a lot of positive, but one of the exercises that stands out.
Be careful what you say.
Was the stick.
Yep.
I forgot to give myself a stick, which demonstrated the law of life that we sometimes give to others so much we forget to put ourselves a seat on the boat, so to speak.
Yep.
What do you think that exercise taught?
Well, I love that exercise. It's not original. I certainly borrowed pieces of it from what I had gone through. And when I went through something similar, I kept a stick for myself.
Did you?
And there was only 3 of us out of 80 people who did that. And I remember thinking, and I also had me go first, which was really an interesting, tough position to be in. And it's fascinating. I love doing that exercise and then just waiting at the end to see who chose. Very rarely does anybody ever choose themselves. And I love pointing that out because of what it did for me.
How many years have you been transforming lives now?
28. Those numbers are crazy.
With the Forbes Factor, are you still doing the Forbes Factor in the studio, the interactive live, the same experience I went through? Do you ever feel when all those people, many of whom are strangers to you, are so emotional, does it drain you energetically to go through that?
Not at all. It's the most exhilarating thing I do. A very interesting thing has happened, though. I did it for many, many years, and not, like you said, complete strangers in my room. And then COVID hit, and we didn't do anything. We started taking Forbes Factor online a little. And then I remember, so I built a very large community online. And I can unpack a little bit about how I did that with my daughter. But before I just to finish your point, all of a sudden, these people I've spent a year with in a Zoom box, and they came to life in my studio.
I know.
Oh my God, that first one after COVID was over was like meeting movie stars. My daughter and I both felt this, like, oh my God, I know all of them. I know, oh, you're taller, you're shorter, you're this. And the best thing ever. And so the last 4 years or a couple of years of Forbes Factor has been miraculous. But I can touch the hand of somebody in a grocery store, and I've done this, and they burst out crying. My soul loves this so much, Blanca, that one of my dreams, and I'll put this out there because I get what I dream, is to do a nationwide tour called The Healing, where I fill an auditorium with people that I don't know. I don't need to know you. I can literally feel the woman who's been sexually traumatized. I can feel things all over the room, and I've done this before. And now I've got a technique that everybody in the room gets to do a breakthrough simultaneously. Oh, I've figured out something new. And I've now done this in Forbes Factor where everybody breaks through. And it's like, it's the biggest, I literally can just feel like their essence just coming out and saying thank you to me. And I witness it, and I can tell you almost every traumatic breakthrough that I've been through over 28 years, some have been extraordinarily tough, some have been brutal. I mean, I just worked with a woman who was raped when she was 10 years old by 12 guys next door to her home. The guy had a satanic ritual, and she was the object of the evening. And then the last guy who did this to her said, whenever you have sex, you'll think about me. She comes to me in her 60s and says, I've never been kissed. And I looked at her and she said, I heard you can heal me. And I did. She is in my community now as a thriving, sexy, amazing woman who healed from all of that and had been through years, decades of therapy. Longer she looks at me and says, I no longer need therapy. I'm committed to you no matter what you do in the rest of your life.
I believe it, because I mean, your program transformed me. I was in a prior relationship that I felt stuck in, and I didn't really have the voice and the confidence to get out of it. And then after I was with you 5 days, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm out.
Right, that's what
I drove home that night. I'm like, we're breaking up. It's over, baby. No, I didn't say it with lack of sensitivity, but
right.
I just said something changed inside of me, and I had the confidence to make a choice. So what is the definition of a real breakthrough? Is that a breakthrough that I had the confidence to make a choice? Is it as simple as that? What is it?
It is giving people hope. It is giving people a voice. It is realizing that you're not controlled by things that happened to you and giving you permission to step into your own greatness. And a funny thing about that word is that we need permission. We literally derived our entire society about what you have permission and not permission. You know how I know that? Because when permission is really severe, we call it a law. You are not allowed to run through a stop sign. Oh, you want to anyway? I'm going to give you a ticket. See, you don't have permission. You don't have permission to kill somebody. You don't have permission to cheat on your wife. People do it all the time, but you technically don't have permission. So it's interesting. We are taught when we're little, raise your hand to leave the table. Raise your hand to talk. Mother May I is a game about permission. And then the movie, The Wizard of Oz, I'm sure you've seen it, is all about these four individuals seeking permission from a higher power that turns out not to be a higher power, but a carnival barker, who then says, you've had it all along, which is basically you giving permission to yourself to go, oh, wait a second, I am that talented, I am that smart, I deserve better. And that's all it takes sometimes is I hereby grant you permission to believe you're extraordinary, to leave the abusive relationship, to lose the last 30 pounds, to go for your dreams. And it's so weird. I grant people permission, but I don't have any power either. But it's you granting yourself permission.
I love that. I love that so much. You really are helping so many people in the world, empowering men, women. This dream, this vision that you just articulated to have the healing tour by Forbes Riley. What is that? Is that national? Is that international? Tell me more about the vision.
You know, it's absolutely international. I have friends who speak all around the world. I just hung out with one of my friends, Baron Batiste. He and his parents brought yoga to this country from India 40 years ago, and he was very famous. He has 180 studios, and he does world tours all the time. He's talking about just coming back from Kenya and South Africa, and so that is absolutely a dream. Now, dreams take a lot of other people aligned. My dreams at the moment are, one, Joshua and I are amazing, and somebody said, what do you want, Forbes? Because I ask people like a question all the time. Oh, what's up, Forbes? What do you want? You know what I want? I want to continue to be healthy and fit so that I wake up every morning and enjoy what I have. I know what it's like to wake up for 10 years and dream about having that. Now I want to enjoy that, and you're allowed to do that. But the dreams continue. I have a book that's coming out called Pitch Secrets A to Z. And if you want to, it's funny, they say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So A to Z, if I released it a couple of years ago, because I wrote it a few years ago, would have been what? A to zebra, A to zoo, A to, Zoom. Zoom came out, and all of a sudden the book made sense. And so that is coming out in a couple of months. Very excited about that. First book with my name only on it. I have probably 15 compilation books with other people, and I've done a lot of those. This will be the first book that's mine, which has a different responsibility to it. Also, 7 or 8 years ago, I looked into the whole TEDx arena, and I got rejected. And I remember rejection is not a good word for me. And they called me and it was not very nice. We don't allow pitching here. You're not allowed to pitch. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm teaching how to pitch. And they kind of hung up on me. And it was very rude. And I remember thinking, you know what, whatever. So I've evolved. And the beginning of this year, I put out an application to a bunch of different TEDx's. And, I got a bunch of rejections and thought, okay. And then 6 weeks ago, I got my first acceptance. Thank you very much. I was like, oh my God, I did it, oh my God.
Congratulations.
3 days later, I got another one. 3 days later, I got another one. I have 5.
Wow, that's amazing.
This is the Forbes Riley way, yes.
Well, I mean,
So-
it's sort of a no-brainer. Why would they ever say no to Forbes Riley?
For a lot of reasons. They don't want somebody who's too famous. They don't really want professional speakers. They want great ideas, not great people. That is what TEDx is all about. It's an idea worth spreading. And my ideas have gotten formulated. And I'm going to turn down 3 of them, but I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do 2 very different ones, September 11th and October 4th. I'm very, very excited about this.
In what cities?
Get this. So, one in St. Pete.
Oh,
I was
right
gonna
in
go
your
up to-
backyard.
I was going to go up to Canada and do Halifax, and I said, you know what? I can do my backyard.
Why not?
I know. So St. Pete women offered me, and that's going to be my pitch. Now, if you do a second TEDx, it has to be a completely different subject. And ironically and beautifully, it is TEDx Jersey City. And I have a story about the young boy that I raised for 12 years who was murdered. And about granting permission, about prejudice, about him being black and me being white, about an experiment that I went through when I was 10 years old about prejudice. And I wanted to tell this story forever. And they're going to give me that platform to tell it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are these talks open to the public?
Not only open to the public, but they are recorded. And so posterity-wise, this will live on YouTube forever. And it will be hopefully sought out by lots of people. I love, the pitching is great and it's my whole world, but this other talk is my heart. And I wanted to do this one forever and I got it.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy. It's such a wonderful thing to be able to tell that story. That's obviously one of your deeper stories, obviously, to your child.
It's a big story. And I will tell you that Dexter, who is now gone 22 years, gets to be my homage to my little boy.
I'm really looking forward to hearing that TED Talk. Congratulations.
Well, okay, the story gets better. Want to hear another story?
Love to.
COVID happens. Well, pre-COVID, January 2nd, my beautiful, hunky, sexy man is on his motorcycle, and a kid pulls out and creams him. Shatters his ankle, his back, his ribs. I pick him up in the hospital. I don't pick him up. He was in intensive care for a while. And there's another picture that I'll share with you. Because you talked about your looks going away, we used to love him. He shrunk down to nothing. And I have a picture of him a couple of months later. He sat in a wheelchair for 6 months, very depressed, lost all of his muscle. And he came to me in June to take a picture, and I'm like, ooh, you don't look very good. He said, when the gyms open up again, I'm going back. I haven't won Mr. Universe. And I'm like, okay. And he did. That first picture that I showed you is an after photo. He has a way of building.
I remember, I've seen the picture of
Yeah.
him because when we were together at Forbes, what he went through and then came back to compete again.
Oh, he's competed about
And-
8 times since and won.
And now recently.
Well, no, hang on. Don't say that. You sit. Hang on.
Okay.
So that's a pretty good story, right? About March, COVID hits.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, I'm not really working. And my 2 17-year-olds are stuck upstairs doing homework. They're junior in high school. And this was a crazy story. A crazy story about a little girl who was so lost in her youth, but she has 2 kids of her own. They're 17, and my daughter comes downstairs. I said, Mom, what are you doing? I'm like, Facebook? Nothing. And she's like, my mom's doing nothing? How about we go online, you teach pitching, and I'll make you $1 million in a year. And I'm like, oh, honey, I love you. That's so cute. She's like, no, I'm serious. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? See, I tried the online thing. I gave people lots of money to do digital marketing. They took my money and I got nothing. This is good. And then she kind of had this different demeanor about it. She said, Mom, I don't think you know who I am. I'm like, what? She's like, I made my first money. I made $10,000 in a month selling lenses e-commerce when I was 12. You took me to this little digital college thing that I did when she was like 14. So for the past couple of years, your famous friends like Joe Theismann and Les Brown have allowed me to build their YouTube channel, their website. I'm like, really? She takes out her bank account. It's got 6 figures in it. And I'm like, where did you get that money? It's like, Mom, they pay me for what I do, and you're the only one who doesn't believe in me. I believe in you as a 17-year-old kid who's got a D in English, and I'm yelling you about your homework and cleaning your room. I didn't know you were a digital marketing genius. And she's like, yeah, Mom, it's kind of like, I'm like, okay. She says, I'll make you a deal. You put your SpinGym over here because I need you to focus, something I'm not very good at, and she knew that. She said, let's teach people how to pitch. I'm like, baby, I can't teach people how to pitch. I'm just a genius. She's like, okay, Mom, you're kind of a genius, and you've certainly paid for everything, and you've traveled around the world with us. We've had a great life. But if you don't teach other people what to do, what you do, you won't have a legacy. Okay. And then she said, you're really good at what you do, Mom, but what you don't realize is that it's a system. You do the same thing all the time. All those 1,500 shows that you did for Body by Jake and all your infomercials, I've watched a whole bunch of them. She's like, you have a system. I'm like, I do not. She's like, let me show you something. And we unpacked in 3 weeks how I pitched, how I created the situation and the solution, how I pitched it, how I did before and after, how I did features and benefits. And I'm like, oh my God, you're really right. We could teach this because it's a formula, it's a system. And so we unpacked it. And then I invited, remember when Zoom first came out and like you couldn't remember how to get on it? It's like, it's a weird thing.
Right.
She said, we're going to take a couple of people, put them on a Zoom room, and let's teach what you do in 4 weeks. We'll call it Pitch Like a Pro. Like, okay. And I came up with lessons and videos. So I had 25 people in a room and I did my first webinar, which is ironic because I watched a lot of my friends do webinars and make a lot of money before, but I didn't know how. And the whole internet thing, the difference between her and I is 42 years. You and I grew up with a phone attached to the wall. She was born with a cell phone in her. Literally, she came out and was like, she took me, by the way, we went to Greece without a single reservation, the height of the busy season in August. And hotels and restaurants, we nailed this vacation. It's like insane what she can do with the phone.
Oh, I remember those pictures.
Right. So I go on, 25 people on a Sunday night, and there was zero in the account, the bank account that I had been using to build landing pages and stuff, because I used to build them but never launched them. So I look at the account the next morning and I call her going, hey, McKenna, what does the K stand for? She's like, what do you mean, Mom? I said, well, it said zero in the account yesterday. Now it says 25K. It's like, Mom, you sold everybody in the room a $1,000 product and made $25,000 last night. I did what? She's like, yeah, let's do it again. Put another 25 people in the room. Do you know what 4 times 25 is? It's a 6-figure business in a month. We made $100,000. In 9 months, we were walking across the stage getting what's called a 2 Comma Club award. We made $1 million in one funnel, just like we said, like she told me we could.
That's incredible.
We made $1 million like our first time online.
Wow.
And that was 5 years ago. I now have over 50,000 students.
Wow.
I teach live, I teach online. I have now that class that was 25 people, I have 1,000 people show up on a Sunday. You were there, there's probably what, 50, 100?
Well, there were hundreds hundreds and hundreds of people coming in because you are the queen of pitch from all these years of everything that you've accomplished by being the $2 billion queen of infomercials, by being an actress, by being a communicator. It's really extraordinary. What do you love most about teaching the students how to pitch? The entrepreneurs, really, from
what I love is how bad everybody is. I don't care what profession you're in, what kind of CEO you are. I'm going to ask you that question, what do you do? And you're going to fumble. And you're going to do it wrong. I have a secret. I have an absolute I just did it last night. I was at an event, car event, and I have everybody's business card that I needed to get. I'll tell you what, I network like nobody's business. I follow up. I mean, I've got deals that you can't imagine by the what do you do? And then Joshua's really funny. So Joshua has been witness to Forbes Factor, to breakthroughs, which I thought would scare him, and he's not. He videos everything. But he's also been listening to the pitch thing because he's very shy. And we get in the car last night, he said, did you see that guy throw up all over us? Which is a phrase that I use. When you ask somebody what they do, and they're like, well, I do this, and they go on, and you're like, oh my God, can I go get a drink somewhere? Because this guy's still talking. And a guy did that, and Joshua, the way he identified it, he's like, I was so bored listening to him. I'm like, I know. Isn't that terrible? So, for your sake, and for everyone behind the camera, Blanco, if I asked you, what do you say?
I'm an attorney and a famous talk show host.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's how you know you want to train with me. If you start that sentence with I am, which you just did, or I help.
You don't really believe it?
No, it's got nothing to do with that. I am and I help. Because you're under the misconception that when I ask you what do you do that I care. And I don't. And nobody does. I care what you can do for me.
Okay. So what's the better answer?
Well, one is to use a better verb. I created a talk show, and now I take people like you and I take their business online and make them famous. Not I am, I create right. Or get this, as someone who's been a lawyer for how many years?
30.
I've taken all that expertise and my television on-camera experience, and now I make entrepreneurs look like rock stars.
I
That's
love
a pitch.
that.
That's an introduction. Yeah, that stops people. In one sentence, you're like, oh, can I get your card? Here's another one. Okay, you guys, everybody back there at home, get out a pen. I'm going to ask you a question. If I get the answer right, you're going to reach out to me on social media. Promise? Okay, y'all, yes?
Yes.
Okay, here's the question. Do you want to see something cool? If your answer is yes, and is it?
Yes.
Y'all said yes.
Definitely.
You want to find me at ForbesRiley.com. How
Well,
did I
there-
know that? Because here's the thing. And here's the irony of that, what I do. It comes from my dad being a magician. Jesse Eisenberg said this in a movie called Now You See Me. He said, the magician is the smartest person in the room. What he means by that is in a minute, I'm going to do a trick for you. I know how it's going to end. You don't. So I've already set you up so I can make this magic happen. I still do magic tricks. I think I did one at Forbes Factor. I love doing magic because there's something kind of weird about it. You're like, how did you do that? Oh, that's amazing. And you get these human reactions that if you knew how the trick was done, you're like, it's a trick. But we watch it with such awe. So if when you're speaking to somebody, you can create awe in someone else, they'll work with you. They'll buy from you. They'll enroll with you. You don't want me to tell you all the things that I do. In fact, okay, SpinGym's a great example. So I have this fitness product. You heard endlessly, I'm a fitness expert, I'm in the National Fitness Hall of Fame, blah, 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 blah. If I'm at a party, and I always have one of these in my pockets, because, don't laugh, I'm an introvert. By definition. An introvert.
Not possible.
Well, that's what's really funny. There's a TED Talk called The Extroverted Introvert. By nature, I would sit and watch TV with Joshua all day long. I have watched more television than most people. Like, how do you watch all that? I'm like, because I don't like going out. I go out in spite of myself because my mentor said, show up. But the Friday night of COVID, first Friday of COVID, when you were supposed to lock down, I was like, yes, no one's partying, no one's going out, no one's going to make me feel bad. I'm just going to hang out in my pajamas and drink hot cocoa. I was so happy. That's what makes me really happy.
Did we not dance in the street in New Orleans?
Oh, no, let me tell you something. She didn't even ask about my strippogram days where I used to take off my clothes in public.
You said no nudity in the
didn't.
movies.
Oh, I didn't. Bra and panties. Are you kidding me?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I've got stories for days. You take off those fishnet stockings, that garter belt, and 12 pairs of underwear? Yeah. I used to do that just to embarrass men, and I made a whole lot of money doing it. Anyway, I think that's for another podcast. Their butts are sore from watching.
Laws of Life X-rated. We'll invite you to that
well,
next
Laws
week.
of Life After Dark. And so, for example, how would you pitch a SpinGym?
Well, I guess based using your advice, features, I would say, listen, do you want to look absolutely amazing like Forbes Riley and have these incredibly toned arms? Then you got to use Forbes' product. I mean, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Okay, so you got your pen out? I love what you just did. Don't do that. Number one, big law of pitching. Stop telling people what they need. Get them to want what you have. No one ever bought anything that they needed. They only buy what they want, okay? So number one, when you've got a product or a service, don't show it. It's irrelevant because it's kind of confusing and weird. In fact, if I'm at a party and I want to pitch SpinGym, ask me what I do.
What do you do, Forbes?
I created the greatest fitness product on the planet. You want to see it?
Absolutely.
So you get that yes. That's the first yes. You get 2 more yeses, I get a credit card. Then you lean in here. Watch this. Come in here. Notice I'm not talking. Give me your thumbs. That's called an embedded command. She gave me her thumbs. Is that so weird? I don't know why people do that. Then I will take my product. I will put it on your thumbs like this. And I will count. And I'll go 10, 9, 8. Make a fist so you don't lose it. 7, 6. Go 5, 4. Yes, 3, 2, 1. Now put the one hand on your heart like that and punch. Punch out some stress. No, hang on. If you just lock it out, it won't work.
Okay,
Let me do it again.
blocked.
That's okay. And you're going to do something just like this. You're going to go,
You guys
10,
know I don't
9,
have much athletic
8.
skill.
That's all right. But this one, that's okay. The point is I would put it on their heart. You punch
Yes.
out some stress, and then I
Yes.
would take it away before you do the other side. You know what you're going to say to me right now?
Let me try.
No, can I have one? Can I get one? I'm like, sure, I have one in my bag. You give me $40, I'll give you a SpinGym. I just made a sale in 90 seconds. I didn't say who I am. I didn't mention Forbes Riley. I didn't tell you the name of the product. All I did was get you to want that feeling, to want whatever it is I had, and I do this all day long. It's the craziest thing.
You also utilize it as a tool to build relationships too.
I use this as all kind of things. I took everything that I know about pitching because when you ask me what I do, I don't want to really tell you. I'm an actress. Great. If you're a producer, we have a director here in the house, I know. I'll talk to him about me being an actress. But for you, what are you going to ask me what movies I'm in?
Do you do the chameleon answer depending on who you're talking to? Is because you are an actress, an author,
But here's the thing.
a
Here's
speaker,
what I know.
a healer.
Here's what I know. When someone asks you that question, what do you think they want to hear? How much do you think they care about you?
Probably they're just wondering if they can sell you, sell or be
Right.
sold.
They're only caring about themselves. So why am I going to spend time? You know, when I go away on vacation, ask what I do.
What do you do?
I'm a brain surgeon. I'm retired. Don't want to talk about it, but it was a great business. And I'll move on. Because I'm not going to say I'm a host. I'm a host of television. Oh, really? What shows? What movies have you been? Why am I telling you all these things? I know what I've done, and you can't do anything to help me. So that's not a good conversation. As an introvert, I don't like small talk. I only have so many. I'm only so interested. And so I will just say something short and quippy. And now what I say, ask what I do.
What do you do for?
Well, I'm known as the queen of pitch. I take entrepreneurs just like you, and I help you monetize your message.
I do love that pitch.
And then I stop talking.
Definitely learned a lot. I took your pitch class. I did the Forbes Factor Live. You transformed me.
Look, you have a beautiful podcast right now. I'm feeling very responsible for this.
You are an amazing
And you're also, I mean,
friend.
here's what's great about you,
Yeah.
is that you look grounded, successful. When I first met you, you were a bit more scattered. You agree?
I don't remember it that way, but okay.
No, you were this helpful
I'll
light.
take it, yeah.
No, you were very much a light bulb looking to find that place to land that was yours.
More, yeah, maybe more exploratory, more like wanting to, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
You were
Okay,
incredibly helpful, incredibly sweet, but now I'm talking to a woman who feels more grounded.
Oh, I'm glad. Well, also, remember this, at the time you met me was one of the darkest chapters of my life.
Yes, you had said
I
that.
was fighting. Do you know that as I was sitting in Forbes Factor Live, you know, the accountants like, approve this settlement. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? But you definitely healed me. You helped me get through darker times.
Thank you.
And what I often, you know, you said the universe has a sense of humor. At the end of the day, you said, I just want health. We don't have that much time on the planet. So what do you say? Like, what is the point in getting upset? What is the point?
Oh, I get upset,
Because tomorrow you get another day. So what does it matter?
Okay, so probably last story. You mentioned this a little bit, and I want to share it. You don't know when that last day is. You don't know any of those things. And so last year, again, the universe needed to knock me upside my own head. And Joshua and I had gone to get a DEXA scan. You know what that is?
No.
It's where they measure your fat percentage. I'd never done that before. So I check in with my beautiful Joshua, who's at 9% body fat on his off season. You can only get to 4% before you die. You have no fat on your body. And I checked in. It was January of last year, at the highest weight that I'd been. I kind of stopped looking at my weight. And when I was pregnant, I was 218 pounds. And I was up about high 150s, 160. And I was just, like, okay. My fat percentage was 33. My doctor said, you're pre-diabetic, and gave me a whole lot of other things. And I was like, look, I've been sitting for 5 years, making a business. I'm in my 60s. Who cares? I mean, at some point, really, that was my attitude. Because I was so focused, 18 hours a day, building all these courses and trainings and working really, really hard. And I didn't think much about it. And I hear the audience, the universe going, not good enough for Forbes Riley. So the kids and I are and Joshua go to Iceland. Iceland is wonderful, by the way. It's like a Disneyland for adults. There's geysers, there's lagoons, there's so much to see, and we're having the time of our lives. Then my big James Bond moment, we go snowmobiling on a glacier. We go into an ice cave. I'm like, this is so freaking cool. I just love it. We get on the bus, and I turn around and take a picture of my twins. I will give that to you so you can see it. That might have been the last picture I ever took of all of us. The bus is coming back. There's 16 of us in the bus. We hit a patch of ice. We go flying through the air, and we crash down. I'm right behind the driver on my side of the bus. My face goes through the glass. I'm on the asphalt. My daughter's behind me. Joshua's dangling here. My son's dangling. The people on the other side of the bus are all dangling from their seatbelts. And none of us died.
Thank God.
I tore my shoulder in 2 places, and when Joshua fell on me, just kind of crushed my whole body. And I don't know if you noticed, but I have my cheek, I have my eye, I have my head. If anything had happened at all, if anything had been cut, seriously, we were an hour and a half from a hospital, that person would not have made it. We crawled out of the top of the bus, banged and bruised, and have you ever been in a car accident? There's that moment of absolute disbelief and shock, like, what just happened here? McKenna helped cut. We were literally cutting seatbelts, getting people out. And at one point, she turned to her brother and said, I think Mom is gone. Because I wasn't, at first, I wasn't moving. I was like in absolute shock. And I heard her say that. That's not something you ever want to hear your daughter say. So after that night, it was very challenging for us. We went to the hospital. We then driving to the airport as the volcano explodes in Iceland and takes out a whole town. We were in that area. That's the first place we had stopped, and we almost went back through there. And they were like, "No, there's an eruption." You're like, "Ha." We go on the highway. Joshua at first thought, "Oh, what a beautiful sun." Wait, it's 9:30 at night. It's not a sunset. It's a volcano. I have a photo of me standing next to the guy who took the cover of the New York Times picture of that volcano. It was massive. My PTSD is going, I'm sorry, And I know I was completely out of it. Joshua on the plane ride home says, there's a bodybuilding competition in our hometown for the first time. He has to be in it to qualify for the Olympia. I said, good for you. That's great, we don't have to travel. He said, there's a category for women over 60. I said, good for them. And then I'm like, I heard a voice say, go for it. I'm like, go for what? I am larger than I've ever been. The event is in 99 days. It's not in a year. It's 99 days from the day we're talking about this. And I'm like, I get home. I get on my Wednesday mastermind. And I don't know who said this, but it came out of my mouth. And it said, in 99 days, there's a bodybuilding competition here in St. Pete, and I'm going to compete. Click. And I'm like, what did you just... McKenna calls me. She's like, Mom, what did you say you're going to do? Because we've watched Joshua. Joshua goes to the gym 2 hours every day, sleeps and recovers for another 2 hours, eats like a maniac, and when it gets to competition time, he's a nut job. She's like, you're gonna kill our business if you do this. I'm like, I felt like a zombie. Like, I have to do this. The universe is saying I have to do. I don't even know how to do this. So the first thing I do is I call up a coach, and the coach is like, all right, we're gonna get you in shape. You're gonna win this thing. And I'm like, you're freaking me out. I don't want to win. I just want to survive. And I didn't use anybody. I went online, I watched what bodybuilders do. I found 2 women in their 60s who were doing it and had late life transformations. And every day I took Joshua's fitness program. He has a very unique way of training, of building muscle. And he did not train me. Make no mistake. Joshua said, here's my program. If you want it, you'll do it. He didn't go to the gym with me. He's also intimidating in the gym. Wow. So I went 2 hours every day. And here's the funny thing. I swore that I was the one who said for 5 years before this, I have no time to work out. There's no time. You know when the time is? When you were sleeping.
Right.
So I got up at 4:30 every morning, went to the gym from 5 to 7. Then I had to sleep. Then I did mostly carnivore.
Wow.
In 99 days, I transformed. I lost 30 pounds, 13% body fat. I got down to 19%.
You ate only meat?
Meat,
Nothing
chicken,
else?
fish, a little bit of cottage cheese with cinnamon and artificial sweetener. And like 3 weeks into this, I had a bowl of lettuce. The most amazing lettuce you've ever seen. It was just a bowl of iceberg.
Was it delicious?
Oh my God, I'm like, it's crunchy. Protein is very soft.
I couldn't imagine ever like relishing a bowl of lettuce that much.
I will never
guess...
forget, this bowl of iceberg lettuce in a white plate was the most delicious thing I'd ever had. Every meal, you know, the advantage that I do have is that Joshua eats the same diet. Joshua, he competed as a vegetarian once, but he was pretty much he's like, I'm gonna go carnivore. And we're talking not even a lot of vegetables. I also was recovering from massive PTSD. And I took all that angst and wackiness and said, okay, chicken, fish, eggs, and steak. Chicken, fish, eggs, and almond.
So let me ask you another question. In the gym, were you doing a combination of weights and cardio in that 2-hour workout? Or what did that
Zero
look like?
cardio.
Zero. Just
Zero.
weights? What about ab work? Like you did pull-ups
I
and
love when people
push-ups?
ask me these questions.
I'm fascinated.
Okay. I filmed Joshua's course. Joshua is the most disruptive bodybuilder you've ever seen. He does not do push-ups or sit-ups or dips or overhead presses or barbell squats or any of the bullshit that everybody else tells you you're supposed to do. So how does he look like that? He has a unique system.
He has a SpinGym.
No. I'm going to take no responsibility for that. No, he is very intentional. A couple of things that he does. His laws of physics for him.
Please.
Number one, if you go to the gym, odds are you do 3 sets, 8 to 12. That's what trainers tell you, right? Max out at 12 and you're good. Joshua does 15 sets of things.
Holy cow.
You're going to do biceps, you're doing 15 sets. He will start at 50 reps. You'll raise the weight, he'll go down to 40 reps. You raise the weight, you go down to 30 reps. You raise the weight, you go down to 20 reps. You raise the weight, you go down to 15, then 10, then 5, and then you go back to half of what you started to burn out.
Wow.
That's 20 minutes per muscle group.
That's incredible.
I will tell you.
I've never heard that.
Well, that's the first thing. The second thing is, everything that you know about your body and muscles is completely wrong. Now watch this. You're educated, right? Watch this. And think about this at home. Where do your chest muscles, right? How many chest muscles do you have? How many chest groups?
2.
There's 3. Here's the funny thing. I don't know how my car works either. I drive it every day, but I can barely change my oil. But this is yours for life. You don't get to get a new one. And there's very little that you, being you and me and us, seem to know about it. Least of which, why does my arm do that? How does it do this? Why does it do that? So, your muscles start at one point and they go to another point. Insertion and origin, okay?
Right.
Let's take your muscle for a second in your chest. If it starts here, where does it end?
I don't know.
Well, let's imagine.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
That's why I went to law school instead of medical school.
Okay, but think about it. Your chest is here. Where does it end?
Here? I don't know. I don't know. Where does the chest end? Here's my chest. I'm just kidding.
No, but okay. But here's where it might end, right? It makes sense that it might end. Well, so that's funny that you think it's this way. Your chest muscles go out.
Horizontal.
Take your arm for a second.
Horizontal.
Take your arm out for a second. Does your arm pull in? What makes your arm pull in? Do you know?
My bicep? I don't know.
Right, your bicep does this. But your chest muscle, most people think it ends here. Makes sense, right?
Right.
But it doesn't. Your arm wouldn't move in if the chest muscle didn't go all the way around and attach back here.
I see.
On your arm. So but all these principles I learned because I filmed this company. If you just take a static barbell, most people just do this, right? This is not a very efficient exercise because you want dumbbells because you want to come in to build your chest. Think about it. I mean, do that. Everyone's, oh, right. You want the dumbbells to go that way. Oh my gosh. Another stupid thing that people do and dangerous is they'll do butterflies. You know what a butterfly is? Yeah. You take something really heavy and stick it way out there where you have no leverage, no control, and you can pop your bicep doing that. So what you're doing here is you're training your chest, but your chest doesn't care if your bicep is here, the dumbbell's here, or if you put it here and do it this way where it's a whole lot safer and more control.
Right.
I got to tell you, everything changes. Everybody who does a tricep like this or like this, again, all that weight out there in space.
So he has certain exercises he just won't do because they're dangerous.
He doesn't need to. He does one exercise per muscle group, and I'll give it to you.
You will?
But no, well, maybe. I'll give you a couple of them. Do you want your triceps really hard? It's all about leverage and being able to pull as much weight.
Well, since this obviously sounds like an amazing program.
It is.
For the benefit of our audience, where can we follow Joshua?
Okay. So Joshua's last name is Self, believe it or not. When I first met this beautiful man, I'm like, oh, come on, your name can't be Self, really? Like self-discipline, self-improve, It is. So Joshua Self is him on Instagram, and his program is called joshuafitness.com.
Well, I'm definitely going to check that out. So 99 days to get to your dream body? You're happy?
Have you seen? Did you see?
I've seen the pictures. I saw you
again, I'm going to give you the before and after.
I follow you.
I got into a skimpy, tiny little bikini with high heel hooker shoes, and I rocked that stage and got a medal.
How did it feel?
I was on fire. You know, it's funny. It was a massive journey, and it was good and bad. And it was very personal. I did it all on my own. I would see Joshua in the hallway of the house and just go, hey, I'm doing, and I know he was very proud of me. But when I first asked him, do you think I can do this? He said, Yeah. Something I learned about myself. You tell me no, all I hear is go. I heard him go, and I'm like, you don't think I can do it? He's like, no, I've asked you for 5 years to go to the gym. You don't have time, you never go. I love you, but I don't think you're gonna do it. I remember being at the gym going, I went to the F University. Fuck you, I got this, I can do this. I'm on my 9 I can do it. And then I did an Instagram live every morning, and I talked to the camera and I talked to people. And there was a morning or two where I sat in my car and I cried my eyes out going, I don't know what I've got myself into. I look at the scale, the number's not moving. I freaking hate this. I'm having a horrible time doing this. Why did I say yes? You talked about how do you get over self-doubt. And then I realized, and then I got and did it anyway. One way to success is have a consequence. I was getting on stage no matter what. And I did not want to embarrass myself or anybody else. And I worked even harder because I didn't want to embarrass. And that was one of the reasons I did it.
So,
Because I went to my orthopedic surgeon, I couldn't move my arm.
right?
This is, part of me doesn't understand what happened. It was a stupid idea. You're 64 years old. I could not lift up my arm. I couldn't lift it any higher than here. Now, the irony is that Joshua doesn't believe in anything overhead. How is it possible that his fitness program fit my body injury? Because my orthopedic surgeon is like, okay, we did an MRI, you tore 2 tendons, really important tendons, your bicep tendon and your infraspinatus tendon, and let's schedule surgery. I said, we can schedule surgery after my bodybuilding competition. I swear, I was just PTSD'd. I'm like, I don't know why I said yes. It makes no sense. Because when my girlfriend sent me her bikini, she did a competition at 49. It didn't fit on one of my legs, the whole bikini. I'm like,
Wow.
what am I supposed to do here? Oh, I was going to tell you something though. So the first 3 weeks just sucked. I got on that scale and I'm working out every day and I'm eating ridiculous amounts of protein and nothing's changing. And then I've got all this doubt going, okay, should I have hired a trainer? You know, everyone's talking about macros and you're this and you're, I'm like, I'm not doing any macros. Joshua just says eat protein, so I'm just eating protein. And I'm like, how much protein? He's like, as much as you want, which by the way, at some point you can't, you know, how much steak can you
only
eat?
eat so much.
But we did, egg, steak, chicken, and fish. That little cottage cheese at the end of the night with a tab of sweetener on it was like, oh my God, this is so good. But what happened was, at the end of 3 weeks and my scale hasn't moved, I am really upset. I poured everything into the first 3 weeks and nothing happened. And he said, go get a fat scan. I'm like, fine. Remember my fat scan was 33? I got on the fat scan scale, it was 24.
Wow.
I lost like 9% body fat in 3 weeks.
So that means that you shouldn't let the scale.
Oh, you absolutely don't want the scale. The scale does not tell you.
It's a form of torture.
Well, not even torture, it's just irrelevant. Because
They should all be thrown away anyway, right?
no. You should know where you are in space, because I got to tell you, by the time you realize your pants are too tight, it's too late. I watch what people eat. I mean, I am incredibly proud of RFK. One of the things that I want right now is I want to be in the President's Council of Fitness. So does Joshua. And my friend Gary Brecka is there. And a couple of my other friends have his ear and they're right there. That's what I want. And I want it for Joshua. But certainly as a woman of my age with the change that I went through, because I eat a certain way. I've always eaten a certain way. I just indulged in whatever.
Well, from all your years, I mean, I've seen you on shows from 30 years ago. You've always been fit and trim and athletic.
I've always been trim. I've always looked, and I've scaled within that, but I always wore clothes that made me look right. Okay. You did not want to see me in a bikini.
Fair enough.
In fact, all right, I will tell you one more thing that I think will cement this show.
Yes.
Okay.
Clearly, we could talk. I think we should, you are so fascinating. Like, I don't want this conversation to end, but go ahead. So, remember I told you I was recording it live every day? Mm-hmm. At one point, I was like on day 24, and Josh was like, I'm on day 4,000. And I'm like, I'm on day 24. Give me a break here. On day 67, I'm in the gym. Now, here's something that happened, and maybe you can relate to this. I maintained my weight, but was always 15 to 20 pounds heavier than what it probably should have been for television. And I would dip down, I did this yo-yo thing, I would get down to that number that I wanted to see, and then I would go right back up. I would indulge in something, I could never stay at that number. Okay, that number was 130 pounds. I would get there and I'd go back up to 150. Couldn't get out of the 150s. Okay, if you dress right, 150 looks just fine. This competition, I had to blow through the 130. And now I'm in the 120s. Oof. And day 67, and I used to have a hump on the back of my neck. I felt like the old lady hump. That was disappearing. And Joshua commented on that one day. And so day 67, I'm sitting in the gym and I start freaking out.
I have this vision. I see this bridge, this steel bridge coming at my face, and as my body starts convulsing, and I'm like freaking out. And the owner of the gym was like, do you want me to call the ambulance or drive you home? Like, I'm having a physical. And I'm like, oh my God. What came flooding back in that moment is something that I hid 49 years ago, and I probably hid it behind me because I always had kind of a puffy back. I was 15 years old. My father, we didn't have a whole lot of money. My father he used to fly seaplanes off the Hudson River when he was younger. He told my mom that our first child, would fly before she could drive. Okay, I'm like 15 years old. I go out to think what I'm going to do is take a driving lesson. We end up at the airport. And I end up in a single engine plane, a little Cherokee with the wings underneath. And I take a flying lesson. And I'm like, why? He's like, because I always thought, that's what I want. I'm like, okay. I ended up getting my license, by the way, at 16. I can fly a private airplane. I've owned a plane. I don't want to do that anymore because I would much rather sit in the back and watch a movie, have a bathroom, and have somebody go, peanuts? I'm like, yes. In a private plane, you're like, oh my God, where are we going to land if something happens? It's so stressful. So he says to a friend of his, why don't you take my daughter out and just go flying? His friend's 30 years old, or about 30. I'm 15. He said, yeah, I'll take her for a picnic. We'll out to Montauk because I'm on Long Island. So we fly out there, and it's 1975. There's no cell phones. The airstrip dead ends into this beautiful beach, which dead ends into the Atlantic Ocean. And we're the only two out there. And we planned for a picnic, only he didn't tell me that I was on the menu. And so I'm wearing a bikini, and he molested me, and it was nothing I could do about it. And we got into a fight about it. And then at some point I pretended to be asleep. It was horrible, just absolutely freaking horrible. Then we have to sit in a plane and go home. Okay, I remembered that part. And I thought, okay, that's fine. It happened, whatever. I didn't remember the second part. In fact, I never thought about it. We're flying back. I'm sitting in the passenger side. He's in the pilot seat. And he leaned over to touch me. And as he does, the plane goes like this, which is just kind of banking to the right. No big deal. Except there's a bridge here connecting Fire Island and Long Island. And in the windshield, I see the bridge coming at my face when he realizes, and he pulls it up right before we smacked into a bridge. Talk about a traumatic moment of all that's just happened, and that happened. We land. My dad says, how was your afternoon? And I said, fine. And I remember thinking, your dad's going to kill you. If he finds out what happened, he's going to kill him. And fine. I go home. My mother says, how was your afternoon? I'm like, it was fine. I go upstairs. I close the door. And I promptly forgot about it. And I put it somewhere. There's a book called The Body Keeps Score about how you'll take trauma that you don't want to deal with and put it somewhere. And you'll sometimes get a massage or hit that, and all of these memories will come flooding back at you. That's what happened in the gym. Now, here's the irony. Blanca, how many years have I been doing the sexual trauma healing thing? Forever. I didn't know why I was doing it. I now do the last Wednesday of every month in this private inner circle that I have. And I've been doing, probably about 2 years now, about 24 of them. I get online at my breakthrough training and I say, guys, I'm going to be the object of my own breakthrough today. And there was another woman who'd also had a sexual incident. I said, you and I are going to do this together. And we did. And this sense of healing was unbelievable, that I had a tool to take care of myself and heal my little girl who was so freaking traumatized that she never talked about it. And it played out in how I would deal with men. It played out in a lot of things. And I'm going back, and after this is over, I'm like, oh my God, I used to do that because, oh my God. I understood now why I treated people the way I did, or whatever it is that I did. Went to bed. And the cool thing about breakthroughs, you wake up the next morning and you feel different, don't you?
You do.
You just feel different.
Lighter.
Lighter. Everyone says, I feel like I lost 30 pounds in breakthrough. I woke up the next morning and I was on day 68. I put on those little crazy hooker high heels. I didn't have a stick of clothing on. And I walked into Joshua's office and I'm like, check this out. I swear to God, I was I was an adult for the first time in my life.
Wow.
I wasn't a kid who was not wanting to show her body. I didn't own a bikini. I'd never owned a bikini. And so to think I was going to walk on stage in this, and so I had 30 more days to finish this mission.
Oh
and I was
God.
on fire. I was lighter. I was fierce. I was like, I can't express to you how everything I did for everybody else, I got rewarded.
I'm so glad, because
I went on stage, and Joshua tells the story in this bright turquoise bikini. And there's a posing thing that you're supposed to do in a very specific way you're supposed to pose. Screw it, I didn't care. and I did Forbes Riley. And I got in the people were like, my God, we loved you on stage because I was just doing my thing and I had a blast. And I remember walking off stage. Josh was standing there looking like the proudest father I've ever, like my dad when I'd walk off stage doing something. And it was probably one of my best moments ever in my entire life. It was like I'd arrived, every dues that I paid throughout my entire life had come to fruition. And I'm like, I just felt like, thank you for letting me live long enough to make it full circle.
I love that you received healing from your own healing.
You know what I love about you is that you understand what I'm saying because you've witnessed me doing this on other people. I never in a million years thought that I needed it or wanted it, and that I got it from me. It's like, wow.
You deserve it. You deserve to be healed because you've healed thousands of people, including me. Including me.
This is crazy. You guys are getting to witness something kind of extremely crazy.
Well, you're my friend and my sister.
Thank you.
And if it wasn't for you, I would have had a second divorce under my belt.
Isn't that crazy?
But you, more than that, you really helped me find myself, Forbes, and you deserve all the love, all the joy, all the happiness, all the healing, because you are a star.
Thank you.
And you are also a woman with a heart of gold. And I hope that you keep shining and doing everything you're doing to transform the world and heal the world. And anybody out there who hasn't had an experience, whether it's the pitch course, whether it's Forbes Factor Live, find a way to be around Forbes Riley and learn from her and be healed by her.
Well, I will tell you, I still go live every Sunday. It's been 5 years. I don't know how much longer I will do live every Sunday, but I've been on a mission. I could have automated it a long time ago, but I love getting on Zoom and seeing all these new people who have no idea what I'm talking about, but I know what we do will help them. So if you want to reach out to me, ForbesRiley.com is a very nice place to find all the things that I'm doing. I also, and again, as of now, who knows when you'll watch this, do my own social media. I have a team who help me create content, but I love going into my DMs. I love speaking to people. And I do that because it's my soul mission. I was a little kid infatuated with David Cassidy in the Partridge Family. And I stood for more than 4 hours with my mom waiting. He was going to sign my album, that Partridge Family album. I couldn't wait. I got up to the velvet rope. I can see him and I'm drooling. I have his poster. Oh my God, it's David Cassidy. And the woman comes up to me, she's like, I'm sorry, he needs to go. And I'm like, but he hasn't met me yet. He doesn't know me. And I remember thinking, God, if I ever got to that point, I would do every little girl, I would help them. And obviously, I don't know if you've ever seen, but after a speech, sometimes I'm standing there for 3 hours. You cannot sign everybody's, but you can. If you've ever watched Tom Cruise, who I grew up, we had the same manager. I tell the story that we were both very young teenagers and we're sitting on her couch dreaming of being movie stars. And then I say to people, it's funny because Tom changed his name, I changed my name. We've both been in projects that have grossed more than $350 million. And I say he became Tom Cruise and I became Forbes Riley. But if you watch him, he will go into a crowd he'll sign autographs. He doesn't need to do that. He is so far above all of that, except it's his heart mission. I watched him, I just saw the new Mission Impossible, and he comes out on screen before the movie. And he says something really interesting. He's like, I saw it in the theater. He's like, I want to thank you for coming to the theater. That's how this movie was meant to be seen. He cares about his fans. He cares about his legacy. And I don't know him personally. I don't know any of his politics or the other things that he does. But as an artist, I share that heart. This is if you can give back to the people who care about you, it is your duty and your joy to do that. I can't stand people who just got famous and don't care. It's like, no. The people out there who are watching you, they put you there, they keep you there, and they can dismiss you at any time. So I do think that the coolest thing for me is I walk, I talk, I think in gratitude. And I'm grateful for you, I'm grateful for the whole crew who put the show together. And crazy enough, I'm grateful to you for spending the time watching us. I invested most of my life to get to this moment so I could tell you this story. And I hope that you take a lesson from the story and run with it in whatever direction that you want to, but then turn around and take a moment to pay it forward to somebody else who hasn't listened to this, who's not as inspired as you are right now, who maybe doesn't have the tools or the money or the resources, you know, I don't know if I should tell this. You never supposed to talk about a good deed that you do. We had a gentleman on a call the other day, and I was pitching a product that I'm doing. And it's X amount of dollars, and it's worth it, and I have payment plans and all kind of whatever. And when people say, well, I can't afford it, I said, no, that's not true. You don't know what you can and cannot afford. I couldn't afford that first one either. You find a way to ask for resources, build your network, have someone give you a loan. There's so many resources that you don't know. This guy got on there, and he said something about being a veteran. He was going through a really tough time. He couldn't even afford, his son was graduating. He couldn't afford to get a gift for his son. And he said, I really would love to train with you. And it wasn't an ask. It was just an accounting of who he was. And the universe allowed me to gift him my training. And then I promptly said, guys, look, I don't do scholarships. It's not what this is. He didn't even ask. This is one soul touching another soul. I heard his truth. And then a whole bunch of people chimed in. I just saw a picture of him at his son's graduation, and they like filled his Cash App and his gratitude. So you get to pay it forward, because nothing feels as good as helping someone else achieve their dream. No matter what you think you want in life, it's only about you. You want a legacy? Pay it forward.
Pay it forward, and you have done that. Like I said, you've healed so many people, including me, and it's not just a course. You're also building friendships with everyone inside the course. I'm still very good friends with Daniel Johnston.
Oh, yeah.
And so Tina.
Oh, yes, my Tina Dad.
And so I made some really incredible friends, and I'm thankful for your friendship. I'm grateful for you for influencing me to be the best person I can be.
We'll talk about paying it forward. You've let me influence your entire audience, so thank you for that.
It is an honor. It is an honor. I told you, I'm the president of the Forbes Riley fan club. And I want to thank everybody for watching. This has been such a special day for me to learn more about Forbes, because there's a lot of stories that filled in the dots for me, like the story about your dad being the magician at the Inventor and how that led into you helping so many people. Yeah. And I just learned so many laws of life. I hope you did. Thank you so much for watching, and keep listening to your inner law of life. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.